So, folks, it has come to my attention through chance, circumstance, and paladin lust that Shadiversity, our conservative Mormon Australian YouTuber, reactionary, has made a short film. It's titled Swordfight, and we're going to watch it. It's less than 5 minutes long. And obviously I would want to watch it just on its own merits because, frankly, I find Shadiversity to be a very deeply unserious and untalented person that I enjoy taking the piss out of. But I'm so much more interested seeing that there is a follow-up to that short film that is an hour and a half long of him coping about people not liking his short film. So, we're going to watch both of those things and maybe have a bit of fun along the way. Who knows, huh? Anyway, let's check out Swordfight, a definitely not homoerotic film with the most homoerotic title imaginable. Here we go. I hope you're ready. A Shadiversity short film. Look at the dragons soaring majestically. Why is he walking like that? I have so many questions. I think Screen Tested is a YouTuber? Are they having a duel? More concerned about the dragons. I feel like the dragons existing is a bigger threat than the swordplay. When are they gonna kiss? You know, I'm sorry. I'm taking a little bit out of the experience here. See if I can find the appropriate. Yeah, I'm taking a little bit out of the experience when you've gone through all of the trouble to, like, dress yourself in, like, armor and, like, have real weapons. But you didn't bother to get, like, period-accurate shoes? You came wearing your tennies? Come on! I know, look, I know I tend to fixate on shoes, okay? I really like shoes. But, like, Screen Tested showed up with, like, you know, not embarrassing footwear. Come on. Huzzah! Huzzah! King of the LARP! All hail the King of the LARP! All right. Oh, there's a director's cut. With a full additional minute. Okay, I do have to wonder, how do you have a director's cut of something that's like 5 minutes long? Wait, we actually have backstory, an honorable 8.
This would have been a lot cooler if this was a shit post and they added in Fire Emblem UI. Oh look.
Wait, did somebody actually do that? Okay, this is great. I've never seen this.
You're making me work. Hilda!
Amazing. Okay, now, granted, I only have a bachelor's in English, chat. In English literature. Should not this A be an an? An honorable death is reward enough. Blood will be the cost, for a crown need rise. The random capitalization bothers me so much. I'm just a humble country English degree holder. Oh, sorry. This run. Yes, if you are doing something like, let me put it this way. I think this might make it easier to understand. If you're trying to say, like, there's, you know, if you're trying to say an honest man, it's just an honest man, right? Same thing. An honorable man. You don't say a honorable man, an honorable man. Because the H is silent. English is a silly language. again, I do have to ask, why is he walking like that? Also, I think we found a little bit of a cinema sin. Boom! All right? Look at this. How does that sword get from this hand to that hand? Boom! Cinema sin. Similarly, whoops, looks like maybe it's a bit of a costuming error. See, the dagger miraculously changes sides. Huh, looks like we got ourselves a cinema sin. He forgot to include an actual story. I mean, a crown will rise. Oh, sorry. That would be a sentence. A crown need rise. Again, why are they having a duel when there are dragons about? Are the dragons friendly? I have a lot of lore building questions. The dragons put them up to this? Ooh, that's even juicier. Oh, maybe they're brothers. No, even better, they're lovers. Okay, look. Okay, real quick. This guy usually wears glasses, and I know that because he's in the Night's Watch, like, reactionary content. But, like, if you're already gonna be wearing, like, modern-day shoes, just wear the glasses, man. Okay, I do want to ask sincerely, did they mean to put this guy's, like, decree from the king in full into this short film, but then they cut it because he did a bad job delivering it, and they only got, like, 1 or 2 takes, and both were bad? Is that what happened here? Like, you can hear him start talking. Is that a creative decision, or did they forget to take that out? Is there an establishing shot? There is. Kind of. Huh. In this shot, you can clearly see no one is behind him. And yet, his opponent teleports behind him. That's a cinema sin. made a separate version where they win. They made a version where Shad gets his throat slit. Oh my god. That's actually really kind of cute. This is kind of like what's you know Will Ferrell and what's his face would do if in the film Step Brothers. They would film like one version for each of them. This is the superior cut. But where is my kingdom? Oh, there it is. Incredible stuff. Incredible stuff. Now, I do have to say that this all reminds me of, frankly, one of the all-time greatest original works of art that has ever existed. And frankly, you cannot tell me that this might not be Shadiversity as a much younger man. No one can convince me of that. I don't think that, for the record, I don't think that this is Shadiversity, but it would be extraordinarily funny if it was. But you know what? Also, unironically, I like his moves better than Shadiversity's. There, I said it. I said it. Don't mean to be this guy, but whom amongst us hasn't done this? That's the thing. That's what's so wonderful about Star Wars, kid. We've all done it. We've all done this. It's coming from a place of authenticity and pure gumption, and I appreciate that. Yo. Fucking legend. All right, that's the matchup I want to see. I want to see Shadiversity fight Star Wars Kid. Instant internet gold right there. And you know what? My money's on Star Wars Kid. All right, he's got heart. He in his heart is a true king. All right? It's true. I'm not even saying that facetiously. I genuinely like his moves better. Now let's see, of course, the second part of this, which is how does Shadiversity react when people don't really like his movie? Let's check it out.
Shadiversity.
I'm sorry. Does every Shadiversity video open with someone saying, muffled from a distance, Shadiversity? Is that... I hallucinate that?
Shadiversity.
It's so badly mixed.
Greetings, I'm Shad.
And greetings, I am Tyrant.
And today we are doing our own commentary kind of reaction to the short film that we recently made.
Yep.
Oh my
The
god.
collaboration between
Yes.
myself and Tyrant's channel Screen Tested for The Crown.
Yes.
We have
Now-
a commentary track. Let's go.
Yes.
We're recording this before it's out. So
We are.
We are really interested to see what people's reactions are. But we wanted to do this commentary to give some behind the scenes context of how we made it, what we went about, and all, because there's some really interesting things that I think you guys might find fascinating about this. And so some of the first stuff I feel is
How do you make a feature-length commentary about a sub 5-minute short film?
worth talking about before we even start reacting to the most.
Yeah, Atten Shea Films actually made a real movie. I still need to see it. The trailer looked good. I had some like gripes about like lighting and such, but like it looked good still.
Is the setup for the day. All right. So this was all done in one day.
Roughly about like 6 hours.
6 hours. Yes.
When you take away all the time it took to get us out there and start pressing record on cameras to do stuff, about 6 hours and about 2 hours and 10 minutes of choreography, swinging swords, fighting stuff.
So that's important. So there was slow-mo shots and setup shots and setting up the equipment and everything. But when we actually got to start to record the fighting content, we had 2 hours basically to get it all done.
Well, we did.
That's, you know, that seems like a pretty normal amount of time, if not a pretty fast amount of time, like a pretty low amount of time for filming like a 5-minute long fight scene, actually.
Didn't start until about 2:30, which is really late in the day.
Yeah, they had to wrangle the dragons, chat.
We were in full armor, and because I changed the stupidly, I changed the location on the day because I thought it would look better, and I think it did look better in the final product. But because we did that, the sun was in different spots than we originally had.
Yeah, now the real commentary track that I would be interested in is, of course, the Star Trek Spectre film commentary. The movie made predominantly by one guy, where he acts all of the roles, and it's still kind of an amazing Star Trek series. I want that commentary track.
Planned, and the sun was basically in our face for hours on end, and it was we got sunburned.
I got fried. I'm like peeling skin and everything.
Dude, wear sunscreen. You're white as fuck. Wear sunscreen. That's what it's made for.
But I was willing to sacrifice it to get
Yes, but those things kind of
You don't have to sacrifice for the shoot. You could just wear sunscreen.
compound those issues. So we got a lot more tired than we should have, but we're also we didn't have as much time as we should have.
Yeah. Now, the reason why the time frame that we had is significant is because, look, in my maybe not so humble opinion,
Okay, maybe this is a controversial take. Maybe, just maybe, bear with me, chat. We should reopen the hole in the ozone layer just for Shadiversity. Okay? You know, as a joke. Could be funny.
I am really happy with how it turned out. I think it looks friggin' great.
I'm a little bit different, but I've done a couple of these, and I wanted more, but that's just
oh no. Like I respect this guy kind of for at least being like, I think we could have done a lot better.
maybe my standards,
I respect
things for
that.
me personally, but in terms of like, I think it's all right. You know?
Well, when you
You know, just for my standards, which are of course higher than yours.
compare it to many of the sword fights we have reacted to on this channel, and I've done fight scene autopsies and stuff like that, with how unbelievably crap some of them are, compared to what we were able to make in 2 hours. I want people to, like, again, we choreographed that as we filmed.
Yes. Hollywood films, first off, have months. I want to make this very clear. For fight scenes that you see in movies, those shots can take months with teams of people and hundreds of thousands of dollars working on that. However, the context there is, I do think we could have done better if we had more time.
Oh, of course.
Can I just say that they're comparing their fight scene to a very different fight scene between, like, one untrained person. You know, in the movie, she's supposed to be untrained. So, yeah, it's not surprising that her fighting is unrefined. And my understanding is that Kylo Ren in Star Wars was also not used to, like, actually, you know, sword fighting other people. So, like, you have two untrained individuals fighting each other. I think that might actually be a bit harder to choreograph in some ways.
And energy.
That's the other.
Like, you have to make it
2
look
hours,
accidental.
I think we made something that I think looks really, really good and is actually better than a lot of, like, you know, Star Wars, current Star Wars.
Also, trying to argue that you made a better sword fight than the Hound and what's her face from Game of Thrones, you're just wrong. You're just wrong there, bucko.
I mean, and Hollywood stuff, right? And they have a massive budget and months. And how were we able
that
to
Game of
achieve
Thrones
that?
fight,
A
Brienne
couple
of
of
Tarth,
things,
thank you.
which
Is
gives us a big
honestly,
advantage.
like, a
One,
really
we know how to
great.
use swords. I can't really stress that enough, how beneficial that is in capturing the sequence where it's got the right commitment, the right aggression, the right speed, and you actually land the strikes and there's not slip-ups and everything like that. And because of that, we were able to quickly go through, all right, let's do a 4-beat sequence, maybe a 4-beat, 2-beat, and we go, let's work out the moves here, 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 here. And after maybe 1 or 2 setups, we're ready to almost go full commitment, bang, 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 and then we caught the shot.
Sure.
So, and again, we were only able to do that because we were very proficient with the swords already. There's a lot of actors who come into it and they don't know how to use a sword at all.
This is true, but there's also an extra added benefit that usually gets left out of these things, is that me and Nathan have done this enough that we know how to do this in a way where we can capture that a lot more efficiently than if we were just trying it for the first time.
Yeah.
That is a big caveat, because when we get on, you saw it out on the day, we go, all right, now I need slow-mo of this over here.
It was great. It was really efficient.
Getting through things.
And something that yourself and Nathan did really well, from my perspective, was the camera work.
Yes, the camera work was very good. A lot of people
Could have been a little bit better. I'm just throwing out the idea that maybe the camera work could have been a little bit better. All right, there were some shots that looked like they were supposed to be centering that throne, and that throne was definitely not centered. The cinematography could have used a little bit of polish.
people forget. Actually, just before we get into it, I have done. Shad convinced me to release a full behind-the-scenes video of this on my channel. If you want it.
Yes, please. We are watching that right now. I need it.
To release a full behind-the-scenes. I have done. Shad convinced me to release a full behind-the-scenes video of this on my channel. If you want it, I would really hope you go watch it, because I don't want it to bomb.
Okay, link below. Show me. Show me. There we go. It's half an hour long? I'm sorry. You made a less than 5-minute long short film, and you have made 2 hours of extra content about it. Are you kidding me? Are you... Yeah, like part of what they kind of don't get about fight scenes in films and television is that frequently the fight scene is not about the technical proficiency of the fight. It's about what that fight is doing in a narrative sense. It's meant to convey a story, which is what films are for. It's not to display technical proficiency unless that is to serve the story. God. All right.
It's on screen. So guys, please go watch. He has a kind of like the making with behind the scenes footage of the day on screen tested. So please watch that video. After you watch this one, we'll give another shout out to it at the end.
Because I go through all of the cinematography stuff, and I'm giving advice specifically to people who want to make their own fight scenes, because it's stuff that you wouldn't know if you've never done this before. And I really want fight scenes to be better, especially people on the internet. And there's a lot of criticism.
The thing is, like, you want fight scenes to be better in a technical sense, but fighting in film is a narrative endeavor that makes use of the technical aspects in order to convey a story. And like, what you want is like tournament fighting. That's what you want. If you want that, there are tournaments you can go to like watch people excel technically at fighting. You can do that.
Less than 3 you chat.
Nindreen, less than 3 you too. I'm adding it to the board. And also, Nindreen, I'll leave it up to you. Do you want your Mariah Carey trombone now or after we finish this segment? Yes! A perfect example, Paladin. A perfect example. When Inigo Montoya gets his revenge, the point is that Inigo is a much better sword fighter because he spent his entire life obsessed with the revenge. The fight is supposed to be bad. Yeah, exactly. Like Count, what is his name? Not Count Dooku. That's not right. But the Count is not a good fighter. He's just a powerful man. And so when Inigo finally corners him, it is like he fucking mogs him, really. Mama's getting some spicy ink tomorrow. Ooh. Hope you'll share well, depending on if you're comfortable. Count Orlok? Good luck. Good luck. And congrats on your new ink. Count Dooku? Okay, yes. All right. Excellent. Thank you so goddamn much, Nindreen, for supporting the channel. I really, really appreciate it. You forgot he was almost dying, so the fight was actually close. Well, yeah, the Count, the six-fingered man got the upper hand through trickery, you know? Count Rugen? There you go. Thank you. God, you guys keep pulling my legs.
That people have, but it's very easy to fix.
Yeah.
That's the important part.
And the thing is,
Wait, I'm sorry. The six-fingered man from Princess Bride is married to Jamie Lee Curtis? Huh. Oh, Nindreen, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you had to fly. Flying sucks.
camera work is so important for the pacing of a fight, and I think it's done really well.
Wait, Count Rugen is also an actual member of the Okay, all right. I'm learning a lot about Princess Bride, one of my favorite movies.
In this one with your work, right? And a lot of people aren't really aware.
Well, should we get into it? Because there's some stuff.
No, Carrie Elwes is the main guy in Princess Bride.
Right off the bat that I can explain to you guys that you'll notice, and once you see it, you'll understand.
Yes, but I'm happy for this video to take its time because I want to go through everything.
Yo,
this is
Olive
a
Ryder,
full
that's gonna be
commentary
movie
on
night.
many things. There's a couple of other things that I want to comment on that we were able to achieve that mainstream can't do. And
this is by far the cringiest thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm sorry, you filmed yourselves doing a sword fight that appeared to be technically proficient, and you're like, mainstream Hollywood could never do this, ignoring countless mainstream Hollywood films that have good, competent, and technically proficient sword fights. All right.
And it goes back to one of the things founded on the fact that because we're both swordsmen and we're very proficient with them, we were again able to land those sequences much quicker and more convincingly with a very quick thing, and we're able to choreograph it together on the day as we were doing it, which was brilliant.
No one would have believed in the early years of the 21st century that our world was being watched by intelligence greater than our own.
I mean, I believe it, but hopefully they don't hold our lack of intelligence against us. Cause man, this is sad. And Salmon Moose, do you want your Mariah Carey now or later?
Then we're able to do a couple of other things that, unless you have years of practice and with a sword, actors, they're not going to be able to pull it off. Oh. Second thing we're able to do, we were able to right. What's the right word? Improvise. Freeform. We did some freeform exchanges without any practice, just to try and get some real kind of reactions and stuff. And we'll show you where that freeform is in the stuff. And some of it, I was shocked at how well it turned out.
Keep in mind, there's a caveat to that. Yeah. Me and Shad have never done freeform like that. Like, me and Shad have sparred, which is not the same thing at all. Me and Nate used to do kind of stage stuff, which is why we've been able to do previous things. Me and Shad have never done that before, so that was unexpected.
But it worked out great.
It worked out fine,
and some of the...
Just two dudes talking about having a wholesome, satisfying sword fight. Geez, guys, hope you had a ciggy after.
Like sequences we got from that, I was really surprised with. Thing is, though, we don't necessarily recommend people try to do that, because if you're going to try and do that, one, both partners need to be very proficient with the sword, and two,
do both partners need to be truly proficient with the sword? Tell us more.
They need to trust each other almost explicitly, because...
Almost explicitly, huh? In
freeform, we are at times doing pretty, aggressive, strikes.
We're also using real steel, which was not...
Real hardened steel, huh? Getting some hard strikes in, huh?
Plan.
I want to talk about the fact that throughout this entire fight, we're using full-weighted steel swords, which is interesting.
You could feel the whole weight of that sword.
We're going to comment on that and give you some more details about that.
Shad's excited about this one.
I am. There's a lot to comment on.
There is.
Okay, and so going back to that,
I know I'm being immature here, but genuinely, they keep walking into the verbiage and they have no idea.
Trust, all right? There were multiple times, because there were times that we did actually miss a mark, or there was a slip, or someone was a bit too slow on the block, or someone was too fast on the attack, and the sword wasn't there to stop it. And multiple times, both of us had the control where we stopped it.
Yes.
And we had the control and proficiency to be safe. We're going pretty hard, and we were on the ball enough. And again, it's one of those times where I look back, and I can look back with a sense of pride in the achievement, because we achieved something that's actually kind of difficult to do. And the fact that we did not have a single injury, and we actually proved in practice that we had the level of proficiency that each time we could see, this is out of measure, or it's a miss, or the block isn't coming in, and every time we pulled and stopped those blades before we hit each other. And I'm not saying that accidents might not happen in the future when doing that, but we had the level of...
Yeah, because accidents by definition are usually unforeseen. Because if you could foresee them, they wouldn't be accidents.
Of proficiency to do it safely, even when doing pretty risky stuff with full steel swords.
And I do want to say this, a little bit of a... I don't think this is perfect. I think there's a lot of things that could have been done better. But I do think that this does have a level of cinematography and professionalism that you just don't really see. Now, I do want to add a context to that is, for me personally, the gold standard would be like Adaria stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like they do, from the sword fighting, the technical aspect, all the way to the cinematography, everything. Brilliant. So I look at them as kind of the gold standard. Everybody else is kind of just vying for second place type stuff. So I just want to add that in there. Like, we are not perfect. This was not 100% perfect. I do think we could have gotten something even better if we just had...
I think we could have gotten something even better if we had taken the safety tips off of our swords and sharpened them to be real blades. And then fought to the actual death on camera. That's what I crave. True combat.
Had a little bit more time.
A little bit more time. And the other thing...
I think that's what annoys me. It's like,
Really?
could have just gotten it so much better.
The other thing that needs to be mentioned is my chronic fatigue. Okay, people don't really understand how much I struggle with this in between filming and behind the scenes, and so that was a battle.
Yeah.
And what had to happen is that we're going pretty aggressively, and so in between a lot of these exchanges, I needed to pause and recover. And by the way, it's like been 2 weeks since we filmed, and I am only just starting to recover from that. This thing killed me.
Yeah.
And I wish, I hope that I can still try and work through my physical therapy to get past it and try and... I'm so happy with the results. I'd like to try and see if we could do something even better. If we had more time and my fitness was better, we could do something even better.
I don't blame you for not having enough time. That was not your fault.
Yeah.
I get that. It's just one of those things where... because we got so hot, because of all the weather and stuff
we're
like
wearing,
that,
we're wearing out gear.
it got to the
doing
point
this.
by the end of the day, I was like done. Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't do any more at that point. So this is the problem I've had with all of the short film stuff I've done, is just you usually only have a day because of weather, stuff like that. And it's just, it really isn't enough time. It's just not enough time.
Yeah. And that's why having a set that has controlled conditions, controlled lighting, you can then do it over multiple days.
Yeah.
And if we want to do this a second day, one, it would take 2 weeks for me to recover. And then we would need a day with some other lighting and then go through the process to set it all up again. Now, the way my chronic fatigue works is that when I have enough rest, I have a portion of energy that I can devote to something and even push myself much further than what I should probably, safely do with my health. And then I'm dead. And there's a thing called post-exertional malaise where it takes ages to recover. But I had so much fun and I'm so happy with it. I was like, I wanted to do it at least once, and I'd like to do it again if possible.
Now, I don't know how chronic fatigue works, okay? I don't have that. I just have, depression and anxiety. That's what I deal with. Those are my beasts. I do... If somebody in the community has chronic fatigue and can explain whether or not his description makes sense, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot already. There's still, I want to talk about the steel
It's going to be a
sets.
long video.
It's going to be a long video. There's so much to talk about.
Yeah.
Look, this is a bit indulgent, but I think you guys will find this interesting as well. So we did something that I don't think any mainstream film production would ever risk doing, and that's using real steel, fully weighted swords in the fight, in the choreography.
Yes. It's a lot better because you have real steel.
I have a friend with chronic fatigue syndrome. I've never heard her ever suggest that anything made her suffer for 2 weeks. Makes sense. I have it. I mostly feel like passing out at random hours, but I also have muscle weakness that comes with it. Gotcha. Hey, Real Dan Cody. I've got long COVID fatigue. I don't know if it's like that, if that's like CF. Salmon Moose, does your long COVID fatigue feel like what he described? Also, Mr. Miyagi, I just got rid of that one message you posted just because that was a little too spicy. Okay. Happy Friday to you too, Real Dan Cody. Folks, go check out Dan Cody's channel over on Twitch. Good dude, good content.
Can do. It feels a lot better, looks a lot better, sounds a lot better.
The sounds were gorgeous
Now,
because of those swords.
To be fair, I did do most of the sound design, like I redid it anyway, but you have a good base to work off. That's the important part. We use steel and we probably weren't as safe as we could have been, but this also kind of carries over. Because we weren't wearing like gauntlets or gloves, it means that we didn't do any hand shots, which is a bit unrealistic. So something like that is a criticism I would have for it. Was like
where we don't aim for the hands.
Yeah, like stuff like that, but wearing gauntlets or gloves out in that with that on that day would have just been, nah, I'm good.
Yeah. Now, this is one of the swords that we use. This is a trainer, and it's one of the best trainers I've ever had. We have a behind-the-scenes video if you want more details on these swords. Thing is, though, this is actually a safer steel sword, blunt one, because it's made to be very thin at the top, which means much less mass, and a blunted tip, very flexible.
It's very similar to a feather, except it's a proper longsword.
Yeah, and it looks gorgeous on film. And
it does have a flared tip, but that flared tip is still not, like, it wouldn't be considered safe. You would still need to put like a rubber.
I do have to say, even if you were like, ah, man, we can't wear these gauntlets, we can't wear these safety gloves, that seems like a really big mistake to make in a sword fight, even if you're not aiming for one another's hands. Like, I feel like they're really lucky neither of them got very injured.
Yeah.
Tip on that.
And so we chose to use steel because we couldn't get aluminium, you know.
We just couldn't get it in time. And making them is like making a sword from scratch. Like, I did not have time for
And the type of LARP ones that we have, they're too floppy. They're like, this one actually was used for the Shadow of the Conqueror short film.
But this is a fantasy
weapon. But this is made to not be, it doesn't barely.
I'm sorry, there was a Shadow of the Conqueror short film? Why am I just now learning about his... I don't want there to be a Shadow of the Conqueror cinematic universe. Okay? I don't want that. I already know too much about Shadow of the Conqueror, and it's terrible. There's so much sexual assault in it, for no reason. How many subs for that review? How many subs for me to read the entirety of Shadow of the Conqueror? Or how many subs to watch the Shadow of the Conqueror short film? It's more like a trailer for the short film. For the short film? If we can verify that it's real, I would do that for 50 subs. I'd do it for 50.
Flex is much stiffer, and so even safer film ones are made to be stiffer than your average LARP one, which is made to be very safe. And as a result,
are you Door Kickers Inc? Are you actually asking seriously what aluminum is?
It just would not look convincing on film. It just wouldn't look good if we used the LARP ones we have. And so the steel ones looked great. They sounded great. The thing is, though, like, and I think this is another point where I look back and I'm pretty pleased with it, is that these are full-weighted swords.
Yeah.
We did this, you know, full-blown, 2 hours straight, and...
But why? Like that's my question. Why did full-weighted swords and a lack of safety gear, how did that serve your short film from a narrative perspective? Like, if it was all just an exercise to show how, like, technically proficient you can be at fighting, you can do that without, like, all of the narrative trappings.
We got the footage, and we're able to do it, and with fully weighted ones.
It's how the free world pronounces it.
Avoiding injury and doing it as well, okay, is something that I was impressed with, that we were able to pull off, and that we had the proficiency and confidence to be able to use that in a safe way and still achieve the results. I don't see many actors, unless they are actual trained swordsmen, who could pull that off.
Well, usually in stage and film, I think I've mentioned this a couple of times, they usually use something like an aluminum blade because it's a lot lighter, it's a lot safer, and they don't do a lot of thrusts because of that. We did some thrusts. Did we do enough thrusts?
I don't know. Did you? I think you would have been able to tell.
Kinda.
We're going to show some of the thrusts, and there's one sequence where
Whoa, whoa, whoa! You're gonna show some of it? Oh my god!
I thought, like, holy crap, that turned out so much better than I was expecting, because the way that you do it safely, well, we'll show you in the review, because it's where you aim, it's the camera angle, and multiple things. And so, yeah, that's all like a prelim that I wanted to go through.
20 minutes.
But there's still more. Now we're going to get into the video. And just rounding off on the...
Oh, okay, we're not even at them going over the video?
The steel sword things. Actors have mentioned even using the light props on set. I remember the guy who played Morpheus in the Matrix films. He uses a katana in the second Matrix film. He said that his arms were knackered using this prop because he hadn't trained with it, and he had to really work with it to get. And even then, he was still exhausting. I was just like, I think about that when I was like, man, try and do it with a fully weighted steel sword. Because by the way, these ones, 1.4 kilos, which is on the it's medium, but yeah, it's not like the lighter type of longsword. So, all right, now let's dive into the video. Now, the first shot is something I'm happy with. I think it turned out all right.
It did. You're lucky you got this shot, to be honest.
Why?
Because I've needed shots like this for the Epic Adventure Quest movie.
Oh.
And every time I go out there, I keep forgetting. And this was at the end of the day, and I took like 3 frames and made it. So we're lucky we have this, to be honest. CGI.
Did you almost forgot to shoot an establishing shot?
Is something that I'll touch on very quickly. I think it's better to do simple CGI really well, composite it well, rather than try and do something complex that looks like trash. That's just my opinion on it. A lot of this you'll see simple but well done CGI.
Yeah, you see the...
No. The former, yes. The latter, no.
kind of dragon silhouettes flying in the background. So this castle backdrop made with AI. It's such a brilliant tool.
Yeah. We could tell. It looks like shite.
It wasn't just a type in prompt and get it out. I had to spend several hours to upscale.
Yeah, Shadiversity takes real pride in making all of his art with AI now. And I have to be honest, it's a severe downgrade from the art he used to make, and the art he used to make wasn't very good.
It, get it the right angle, get the right lighting and everything like that. And this was off of a high, like a 4K image still of this angle, and then composited together. You know, I think it looks great. Like, it's probably a bit too still for, you know, but for, like, I've seen worse, you know, in films where they had to use painted backdrops and stuff like that. Yeah.
Matte paintings.
Matte paintings, right? This looks better than a matte painting.
It does, but it's the
No, it doesn't. Have you ever seen... I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Have you ever seen any matte background Star Trek? We'll just use that as an example. Like, I'm sorry, matte paintings in Star Trek, they're so cool. There's so much to like about them. They're like artistic and interesting. Like, look at this shot. Look at how this is composited. You know, you got all these people, you got this kind of illusion of depth and a matte painting. And granted, this is not a high quality, wait, can I get the better quality? Ah, here we go. Look at that. Look at how nice that looks. Look at that, like that just looks amazing. And yeah, I feel like juxtaposing even classic backdrops to this is kind of a huge insult to, you know, the people who devoted their lives to making interesting backdrops, painting these things by hand. Like, look at this. That's cool as hell. And he's like, I generated it with some prompts. And it bothers me a lot.
The same sort of technique.
It is, yeah. Still shot. All right, so
wait, someone mentioned Monty Python's Holy Grail. Monty Python Holy Grail. You know, I don't know what I was expecting when I Googled this, but you know, I really should have expected just all of the interesting interstitial art. I should have seen that coming. That's my bad.
the close-ups. The only thing I could really comment on this
Lots
part
of butts.
is the helmet. I have that. We forgot to grab.
We spoke about it in the morning, and I thought we agreed. I'm like, yeah, bring your helmet. And then when you got out there, I'm like, you don't have your helmet. Anyway, this was a helmet that I
also just real one quick thing. This is another one of those where it's like, I did not realize until well into adulthood that this shot, it didn't work. That this shot is a matte painting. I had no idea. I had no idea. This is incredible. Yeah, the actors are walking down this, but all of those people, those aren't extras. That's a matte painting. It's such a good composition. What? For real? For real, guys? Yeah, here is the actual matte painting itself. All of the people in here that you that are in the film, like all this blank space, those are real actors. All of these stormtroopers were painted by hand. These are not actors. Like, good matte paintings are cinematic magic, guys.
brought for a different shot entirely, but it's
It suited my eye.
You know, if Shadiversity really wanted to, he does have an incredibly talented older or younger brother who could probably do a really good matte painting background for him if he were to ask. But, you know.
It's fine, it works. Except the nose.
Yeah, there's just the nose is sticking out.
There's literally nothing we could have done about that.
Yep. All right, so this next shot.
Look at how fun these are.
I wish I was told. Like,
I don't know what it is about people at Shadiversity. They have weird walks. This is a Nate problem as well.
It wouldn't have been a problem if I was told. Like I can't see myself in armor, and so I was like, all right, I'm all.
Okay, wait. Sorry. They are about to laugh at him, and we need to fully appreciate that moment.
All right, so this next shot. I wish I was told. Like,
I don't know what it is about people at Shadiversity. They have weird walks. This is a Nate problem as well.
it wouldn't have been a problem if I was told. Like I can't see myself in armor, and so I was like, all right, I'm a warrior. I'm approaching a duel. So I thought walking with
Strut my
confidence
stuff.
would be appropriate, but I couldn't see if it looked decently to me.
It's like approaching Conor McGregor's walk.
I know this looks good. I feel like I'm walking goofily here. I couldn't
You are. You look like you're trying and failing to do high kicks.
see it, and so I would have happily have changed it.
The problem is you did a first take, and then this is the second take. In the second take, you're like, I'm going to walk a little bit more like that. And when I looked at both takes, they're exactly the same. You didn't change anything.
So, if we look back, there's things we would like to improve. All right, so these are just the close-up shots. The knife. Does that look too large? I think it does. On close-up.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of weird that, like, the hilt would be buckled into the sheath. That seems like it would not be very advantageous in battle.
Yes, but I think it's perfectly fine because of the color grading.
Okay.
The original shots of this, it looks a lot more larpy.
Yeah.
It's fine because of the color grading? Oh boy. Okay. Patrick Lucas, thank you for the gifted membership over on YouTube. I appreciate it. And I bet Ever Afra appreciates it too.
Just the nose.
It's just the nose.
It's just the nose.
See, so something I want to comment on here is a shot like this. I approach my cinematography in a very, if you pause it, I want it to look like a wallpaper.
Yeah?
And this is something that I'm not going to criticize.
What did Jack do to deserve this? I learned that this short film existed and that this hour-and-a-half-long commentary track existed for it, and we needed to watch both of them.
Like people making their own stuff. If you're willing to go out there and do a sword, you have my respect, man. Go for it. That's awesome. But a lot of them, because they don't have experience with cameras and stuff, a lot of the shots are very flat.
Yeah.
And we have flat shots in here, and I'll show you them in a minute. But I think be a little bit more experimental with the camera. Get some different shots. A shot like this is a fantastic shot. You can even see the God rays I've added in. Things like that. Like, make dynamic shots.
And that does lift. Now, there are some things where limitation of budget and time where it's clear.
Okay. I know I've been, like, kind of shitting on them this entire time. But, like, the guy on the left here seems very sincere in wanting to, like, make better movies. Make better short films, make sure that there are, like, interesting shots. And for one, I think that's great. Yeah, I think if you want to go out there and you want to make a short film, and then, you want to make another one after that, and another one after that, and another one after that, and just constantly get better at it, I think that is the correct attitude to have towards, like, making your own movies, right? Making your own shorts. And, like, I can't say that I think it's good, but I will say that I've seen a lot of extraordinarily amateur film, like, short films, and yeah, they do tend to be shot very flat. And they did try and incorporate a lot more angles and things into this, and I appreciate that. It didn't salvage things, but I still appreciate the effort. And I do think if this guy keeps up with this, he'll get better. I can't say the same for Shad, though. So I think this guy's trying to do the best with what he's got, and what he's got here is kind of a turd.
Really,
Sure, but something like camera angles are free. If you're out there filming, just be a little bit more dynamic with your camera.
Yeah. And look, that was a great stand that you had. When you have a still shot, make it look like it could be a wallpaper.
Yeah.
Great. Got the dragon in the background. I like this shot of yours there.
See, criticism makes me so angry. My thing's upside down. And you can see the modern nut. Ah.
These are things that no one would notice, but now you point it out, they'll never unsee it.
I see them immediately. I see a lot of things. Like, there's a screw in your chair from a shot. Like, there's stuff.
Okay, but like most people don't give a shit about screws in the chair. They care about the bigger issues that are in here, not the minor like slip 'em ups. For the most part, there are much more glaring issues here.
That annoys me.
I mean, that's a good shot.
That shot's fine.
You can
So-
see the modern nut.
This is
Hot.
I'm hesitant to point this out because once I point it out, people will never unsee it. But I guess that's the purpose of it, right? The trees. Do they just look too Australian? But
No. Our trees are very. This is something that I've only recently.
I'm sorry. What does it mean for a tree to look too Australian? What does that even mean? Like, as an American, okay, I have no context for what that means. Like eucalypts, but like I don't have that schema, so like to me I'm just like, yep, those are trees. Moving on with my life. Is a koala visible in any of them?
Realized a lot of nature looks the same around the world.
I mean, the thing that made me reassess gum trees in fantasy settings was when Kramer visited us, right?
Yeah.
And he actually mentioned that, no, a lot of the trees on the Shadlands look like Fangorn forests out of Lord of the Rings. They had this kind of gnarled growth pattern. And when I saw that, I was like, it gives me a new appreciation. Like, I kind of see that.
For me, trees aren't an issue. For me, being out in nature is the issue because it's very fan filmy.
Yeah.
So
Low budget.
to combat that, that's why there's such heavy color grading on something like this, to give it some sort of unique look. And that's why camera angles are so important, because when people go out to do these sorts of projects, they're usually out in a forest.
He's saying that they don't look European enough and that is bad. I guess. But like, I don't know, you have dragons in your short film, man. Like what? If you have dragons, it's already not historical, so why are you obsessed with making it like historically accurate? That's weird.
And it looks very.
And you know what
budget.
Adaria did really good with their ones is they could go to real world sets. They're in Europe, and so they could go to actual castle locations.
Yeah.
We got none of that here.
None of that. We've
And
got a forest. That's it. You've just got a little bit of forest.
Basically, we
That's
got
it.
like no good castle authentic anything.
Yeah. Like maybe.
Okay, one thing I was gonna say during the short film, maybe I can just pull it up real quick. I actually quite like this like little like nook on the edge of this small pond. I think that this is actually like an interesting location to film. Like I don't think I think they're both kind of selling this landscape short. Like you're gonna meet up to do a battle in like the middle of a forest? No. Come on. You found a good location. Give it credit.
At the top of a mountain.
I mean, my dream is to change that to make some real castles, but I'm not sure I'll ever get to achieve it. So we got to work with what we have. Look, having said that, though, I'm a bit annoyed at how much I like that freaking sword of yours. You've copied it.
Don't you
He stole
dare.
the crossguard design off of me.
That crossguard design is a Honshu one. We've got the sword over there. We both got it from the exact same place. Me and Shad do have, I hate to admit this, we have a very similar taste when it comes to swords. I have recently completed my sword project, and it is breathtaking.
It looks really good.
It's
beautiful.
beautiful.
I'm pissed off because I want one. Bastard.
If I saw that body of water and grass, I'd know it was filmed in Australia. I don't know. I feel like there are grasses and bodies of water similar in America and Europe, and Africa and Asia. I feel like it's a pretty universal type of flatland situation with water.
Okay, I like that.
So simple VFX,
Yeah.
just do it well.
Just a simple blur, which is
Just a simple blur. This simple blur looks like shit.
Okay, I like that.
So simple VFX,
Yeah.
just do it well.
Just a simple blur, which is a transition shot, then blur back in focus as you're walking there. So, again, should I point it out?
It's just a bit of continuity. People don't know.
Yeah.
It's okay with breaking angles
Mm-hmm.
when you're not in the fight scene. When you're in a fight scene, it's a bit different. There's different rules.
Mm-hmm.
But for cinematography stuff,
I mean-
it's fine.
The Shadlands is just beautiful. Look at that.
Yes. It is. Just
Are the Shadlands like his personal property in Australia? Is it like the like his nature preserve or something?
make sure you get the right angles. Because there are some spots that are
Yeah,
not
yeah.
the prettiest, obviously.
But the thing is, like, do you see the
Yes.
the
So there's
chair in the background?
chair in the background. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, this is one of the things where I think just budget harms it a bit. It's like the banners, they look a little plasticky and stuff, but you know, you got to do what you can with what you have.
Yes. This is I originally wanted.
I have to be honest here. When it comes to budget, the banners are fine. They should not be your like first priority here. Like honestly, the special effects and like the color grading and getting more shots would have been a better use of the budget.
Them to be a lot taller because they are like 2-meter banners. Like they should be much higher. The problem is, first off, we needed to fit that into a car somehow, and on top of that, we didn't have enough like wood and resources to build giant ones. I think it's realistic is how I would put it. A bit more realistic and grounded.
And I mean, if we had a budget, what would kind of make this? It would be sold more to the audience, everything, if we had backdrop extras that were in proper kits, medieval clothing, and there was a crowd watching the fight.
Yeah.
Again,
I told you.
limitations.
Are they going to talk
your
about
throne
the
will look
shoes?
good. I told
They really should like if he's cringing about the fact that he has a shot where like one of his pouches is upside down. How are they not cringing over these the tennis shoes, man? The tennis shoes are what get me.
you it would look absolutely fine.
I mean, it's possible for me because it's not like I've seen thrones.
Yes, but it feels like a throne that they would take out to
Maybe.
for a king, but it's not like the golden throne. You know what I mean? Like it's just a throne that they would take for the king.
Though I will admit, the wind pushing out those banners looks good.
Yes, I did want a little like it's.
You wanted some flutter.
Yeah, I wanted some flutter, things like that. It's a double-edged sword though because the wind did cool us down somewhat.
Oh man, I was grateful for that wind. Because look at the sun, guys, and that's after the color grading, by the way.
This is before we started.
And we're wearing again.
It honestly, the sunshine and like the weather you shot in made it look a lot better.
Not only did we use like full weighted swords, this is thick gambeson and Tyrant.
Yeah, they did a good job
I didn't think you
summoning
were going to
the
bring it
wind.
up.
Is wearing the metal brigandine.
I'm wearing the full steel.
He's
brig,
wearing full steel brig, so
It contours better.
it does. It looks good, but that is exhausting, man.
It wasn't that was getting me. It was just the sun cooking my face.
Yeah.
And halfway through the day, my hair just gave up, and it was in my.
Okay, it is his dumb nickname for his 48
I didn't want to
years,
bring it
gotcha.
up, but honestly, there were some exchanges where I was a bit worried about because hair was in my face, so I couldn't see anything.
So one of the things that is also interesting, like brigandine looks great, but people also, when they watch it, don't realize that is a steel breastplate you're wearing, essentially.
Yes.
And it's undercloth. And if they are wearing brigandine is steel, they have
Okay, so one of the things that they seem to have really gotten hung up on here is that the audience is going to care that they're wearing real steel armor with weighted swords, with appropriately weighted swords. And audiences do not give a shit about that. Okay? It's a movie. Audiences are not expecting to see an actual honest-to-God fight to the death. Like, you're already filming something that's not real. Why bother with real steel armor? And heavy swords when you could opt for lighter swords that allow you to film longer without getting tired, something that you have already admitted is an issue with your chronic fatigue. Would your chronic fatigue not have held up longer with a lighter sword and not real armor that is cooking you alive under this hot, hot sun? My goodness. Good night, Melanie. Get good sleep.
Everyone who's seen my brigandine, which is foam, made to be lighter, they have always thought, if they know what brigandine is, they always think it's steel. Okay, because it looks completely equivalent. I think while we watch this,
making your weapon look the right weight is called acting. Okay, can I tell you guys my #1 pet peeve in films and television shows when it comes to props that look the right weight? My pet peeve is coffee cups. They almost never put any liquid in the coffee cups, and it bothers the hell out of me because they hand the coffee cups together and there's just you can see the weightlessness of the cup in a way that bothers me a lot. Just hand them a cup with water in it. And like, it's such a small thing, but it really does irritate me. And I can tell when they have water in that cup and when they don't. And it's just like, just put some water in there. Because it gives it a sense of weight, a sense of reality that otherwise you're not really paying attention to. Like, most actors are not capable of selling the idea that there is no water in that cup. Yeah, put, even if you don't want to put water in it, yeah, you could use a small weight or something. Yeah, exactly, Firecrafted. As an art department person, I would always put something in the cup, generally something that looks like what it's supposed to be. Yeah, exactly. But in television shows, especially like murder, mystery, thriller, cop shows, there's so much coffee and all of the cups are weightless and it just bothers the hell out of me. But when it comes to swords, you don't need a fully weighted sword. You do need a fully weighted coffee cup.
People won't be able to tell the difference.
Sweet
Yours
man.
is steel and mine is foam.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Still heavier. Like, I'm wearing the pauldrons and my thick, gambus underneath, and it's like a bloody vice.
Yeah, like the weight isn't really the issue. It's just
the restriction of breathing because they're so tight.
I'm glad to hear you're doing well.
It has no breathability, and because we're out in the Australian sun in summer, we're in summer now.
Yeah,
it is just ridiculous. Like, this is not the environment for this sort of gear.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure, I can't confirm this, those S's that I used are from an actual historical book.
They might be, actually.
I believe.
That's actually really cool. I like that. That's a nice touch.
All right, so small things, right? Like, I don't know why I find my pose there just not very convincing.
Okay, also, if you're doing this as like a short film, right? If you're doing this as a short film and not just like, hey, here are two proficient swordsmen who are going to pretend fight, right? If you're doing it instead as a short film that is supposed to convey a narrative, while I do appreciate that the S is taken out of like an actual illuminated manuscript of some kind, don't do that. Don't label yourselves screen test and Shadiversity, like, because that just makes it look like you're just two guys who are showing off their skills. And it seems like you want this to be taken seriously as like a short film, given the length and breadth of this commentary. So don't do that kind of insertion. That's what credits are for. The credits go at the end.
right?
What? The stand?
Yeah, my stance. I don't know, the way I'm standing there, I'm getting up. Maybe it's I'm being too nitpicky, but...
There was also a shot that I wanted to get in between this one where you, instead of just you standing straight up, it's back down to that low down pose, but you do a glance over to acknowledge that, but I literally forgot.
I was happy with this shot. Now, even though we don't have any speaking lines in this one...
Which is important. I feel like it's important. Fan films, sadly, are very let down when people speak. And I know that may sound a bit mean, but they're very difficult to do right.
So, I enjoy acting, okay? And I think I can pull it off sometimes, but then the other times my delivery is not realistic. And
does he think acting is only when you speak? I'm sorry, Shad. Do you think that you're only acting when you start saying words? Because remember that silly walk you did? That was also an opportunity to act.
the way that you work through it is multiple takes, feedback, and focus on it, right?
Yes.
I'm not ready for this.
It's a gibberson, and it's squishy. There are some type of traps that you'll absorb much better than us.
You
could go first.
I am
Yes.
not going first.
We didn't have the time to do that on the day.
No.
And so I'm actually kind of glad now that perhaps we didn't have the speaking lines, because I wouldn't have been able to focus on it. Especially, I ended up being so exhausted from it, because as soon as we start moving, my fatigue hits in, and then my ability to focus on a convincing delivery is kind of shot.
I feel like an also important part is, for this one, it's not required.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I did my other short film with Nate, which required voice lines.
Mm-hmm.
And I ran into a big issue when I got to the
Did
end
they not do
and I did the
pre-production
voice
at all?
lines.
It
And I was
looks like
just
they
like...
did- It looks like they did a limited amount of pre-production. Like, I think Screen Test did like some basic storyboarding, which is actually really good. Like there was a scene of him like holding up like a rough storyboard, and I was actually kind of impressed by that. Most people who do like kind of films on YouTube, a lot of them, if they're amateur filmmakers, do not storyboard things.
I'm too close to this now. It's me. And I showed it to some people, and because they know me, they're also like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I had to go through voice modulation, do all this stuff. Like, voice lines in fan films is just difficult because they're fan films.
Sorry, the
Like,
thing
this
is that,
isn't a fan film because this is original work, but you know what I mean.
the thing is, I know both you and I can pull off convincing
We can do
lines, and the proof is Epic Adventure Quest.
Is fantastic.
You were pretty handy with that whip, Tyra.
Yeah, you were.
I thought it was a kink thing, but I guess.
The person I bought it from may or may not have said that you can use it on witches and women alike.
Oh, okay.
Some of the delivery
Nope, didn't like that. I think I'm good at acting. Proceeds to show a terrible scene of joking about beating women.
in Epic Adventure Quest surprised me
I know that they're trying to make it seem like a kink thing, but like
as like, oh, that is as good as I've seen on TV.
But keep in mind, we're playing characters that are ourselves.
Yeah,
That's
there's
the
that.
difference.
I mean, there's a lot of actors that just do that though.
I know.
Jack
but,
Black only plays himself.
but this, I mean, it is technically that as well.
that's not true. I've seen a lot of Jack Black films where he doesn't play himself.
If we're being honest.
Yeah.
But
But that's what I mean. Actors can still have a successful career when they're only playing themselves.
I just don't think
convincingly.
it was required for this one. There's only like one voice line in this, and I actually have, I decided we didn't even need that one, which is Nathan's one. I felt like just having it
Yeah.
very low.
Oh, they did cut his lines. Oh no. Oh, poor Nathan. I was wondering if that was an accident or if they cut him on purpose.
It's fine.
There are some expressions though that were important to feel convincing, and I think we did pull out, especially in the sword fights, because we're going properly. Those facial expressions of exertion, they're real. They're not pulling that.
They are. There's a couple of facial expressions that I. So how we would do this? I should wait until we get into it. But yeah, I'll talk about it.
So.
Is the reason Shadiversity likes the medieval era and knights because it's a world where might makes right, and he wants to be violent towards women? I don't think that necessarily, like on a conscious level, Shadiversity wants to be violent towards women. Though again, the copious amounts of sexual assault in his books kind of indicate that. But you know, without armchair analyzing him here, like frankly, it would seem to me that he likes the medieval era because it's a time of traditional values of God and country, you know, and he's a big fan of that.
So, but this is like just needed a serious, you know, expression looking. And it's like, all right, that's passable. Probably not
See
the
that
best.
screw there?
See that screw on the chair. Yeah. So. If the acting is passable, it's probably not the best, though. But
why are they're obsessed with the screw in the chair, but not the fact that he was wearing fucking tennis shoes the entire time?
Keep in mind, we didn't do many takes for these. We only did like one.
I know, right? I'm trying to figure out why it still doesn't look like a Hollywood film. And is it the color grading?
It's not. No, the color grading is what's helping it.
Yeah.
It's the location.
Location?
It's this weird thing whenever you see a forest, because we've seen it so much.
And you might be right. Like
as soon as you just see an open nature setting like this, your brain just
looks fake. Like if we were on a real life set, like when I say a real location in a castle.
If we had bluestone background here, like a castle wall or something,
right,
it would look perfect. It's just this is the thing that we contend with is that
again, I actually don't think that's an issue. With this, like that, the fact that you filmed it out in the open isn't an issue at all, really. Like, maybe if you had the budget, you could make it like an old stone chair in the middle of nowhere, and like it has like a, you know, the veneration of ages behind it. It's a sacred place, you know. But like, the fact that it's just kind of open and exposed to the elements, that's not really an issue per se. Maybe it's an issue between how you as the filmmaker imagined it and how it winded up turning out, but it's not actually an issue for a viewer who's coming in cold, you know?
There's not really a way for me to fix it. I've done my best. Camera work, try and nail that. Color grading, try and nail that. Add some...
Oh, Jazza left the Mormon church. That's great. Good for him.
Props in. But even then, it's still a hard hill to get over.
And I would actually like to try and hear from feedback of someone who's never seen me before to see if that looks convincing or if it just feels like Shad's pretending to be serious.
Right.
All right. And I can't really gauge that because I see myself too often. Because I see actors that purposely overact, like Jim Carrey does it and stuff like that, and yet they're able to pull it off.
But for this piece, this is not what we're doing.
Yeah. But I'm not trying to overact. I'm just trying to...
See, stop that. Sorry, go back. Stop that. That's a wallpaper.
Yeah.
That
looks great.
That's the goal.
And look, good job on the crown. It's passing, you know...
It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah,
I'm proud of that
close
one.
up, it's...
That's an awesome crown.
Mm-hmm.
It's all right.
I just think it looks too plastic. But that's budget limitations. Yeah. Because a banner that looked brocaded and sewn...
would look 10 times better. 100%. Yeah. Keep in mind, I'm actually more impressed that... Because these cost $10.
Yeah.
They're like 10, 20 bucks to get that. Then I got some trim, and then I got a shade cloth to... Because if we just had the banner as it was there, it would look like the fakest thing ever. I'm actually surprised they look at least this good, because there's no light shining through everything.
Yeah. Your one looks better. And I think it's because it's got a texture on the print.
That's sure? Mm-hmm. I thought you meant the... I'm like, that's just crinkled. That's not texture. Yeah. So Nathan's shoes, your shoes, my shoes.
Yeah, no, just...
finally. Finally, they mentioned the shoes. Except here's the thing. I do think that Screen Test's shoes look fine. It's the other two's shoes who don't look great.
Ignore the shoes. So look, we have medieval shoes that we could have worn.
You have the shoes? I thought this was an issue of you not having them. You're shooting a film, for fuck's sake. You're shooting a thing that you are now making an 1.5 hour long commentary track about, and you couldn't be bothered to wear the shoes?
I put them on and I was like, nah, this ain't happening. They have no heel support, no grip, and it was just like, that wasn't happening. Speaking of no grip.
For the last 2 years, I have worn my boots out on the Shadlands because when I first started going out to Shadlands, I was slipping all over the place because I was wearing those shoes.
Yeah.
So I wore those shoes. I'm like, oh, we need something that'll blend in. So I didn't wear my boots. And so I slipped over like 4 times during the day. Everybody else gets to wear good shoes except me. It's ridiculous.
The shoes are going to be on camera, guys. You know what's not going to make it into the final film? The shots where you slip. That gets cut. That's part of why stunt work is dangerous.
I also took a bet with Nathan, like, not a bet, like, usually Nathan has 2 pairs of shoes. He has those boots and some other boots that look actually legit.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to wear the other ones. He didn't, so they stick out like a sore thumb. There's nothing I can do about it.
Yep. All right, so just for me, I feel this was too exaggerated and put on, but that's just performance thing. Like, to me, I'm like...
This was actually one of the hardest shots to get throughout the entire piece. And the reason why is because I'm there in front of camera. Nathan has to go through a complex set of instructions. And Marcus, my friend Marcus, is on the camera. And I need him to do a specific camera move in sync with everybody. So this was one where everybody's involved. And I can't control anything because I'm in the middle of the frame. Like, this was very difficult to get right. So I knew that this one was not going to be perfect. Draw the swords. Nathan needs to take them.
And I wonder if what's happening is being translated enough for people, you know? Because the concept...
I mean, they're fighting over the crown, but like, for a country none of us are familiar with, like, there's no stakes here. We don't know either of these characters. We have no reason to care about either one of them, which is why you were able to shoot 2 different versions where each of you wins, and it affects literally nothing about the narrative.
Here is that we can't trust that the other person's sword, we might have poisoned or something like that, and so we have to use swords that none of us have touched or prepared. And so that's the reason why the officiator is demanding we hand over our swords. And so we're like, fine, take it. The scabbard.
Yes. We don't have scabbards for those swords. And this whole sequence, y'all took too long. And I needed to shorten it by a lot much. So a cut-in shot like this is perfect, especially this, because the angle's great. Like,
oh, the water looks brilliant behind there. Gosh,
wallpaper shots.
I just love the Shadlands. It's so beautiful.
This is why I changed the location as well.
Yeah.
Man, a lot of thrusting going on.
I don't know
there.
about the sound.
That's real. That's the real sound.
Yeah, but
obviously,
when
you draw a sword, swords don't sound like that. People don't know that. You know,
our audience does.
People also don't know whether you're wearing real armor or not, or if you're using properly weighted swords. They don't know a lot of things. It's called the power of imagination.
I guarantee there's going to be someone in the comments who will say that this fake sound that you added there, they don't make that sound going out of the sheath.
Keep in mind, those are different sounds as well. One's a little bit higher pitched, one's a little bit more low. Things like that, little details that are important.
I'm not sure about my flourish there now, but it's in it.
I don't like. Nathan is fantastic. He's my friend. He helped us out. Like, he really helped us out.
Really did.
But I didn't want him to read the scroll like that.
He did fantastic, but he really fucked up by opening his mouth.
I wanted him to do the like a Shrek Lord Farquaad type thing, not like a oh yeah right.
Why? But like, why not just get another take? You could just tell him to do that.
Nothing I can do about it. No.
What do you mean nothing you can do about it? You're all making a movie together. You can just tell him, hey, let's get a shot of you just unrolling it without saying anything.
All right, so there's a couple of minor edits that we're planning on adding on versus this one.
People.
Yeah. I'm happy with that stance there. So I actually had to choose this because that's not what I naturally would hold the sword. I naturally hold it on the other side, but then my back would be to the camera. And so this is me purposely reversing it to present it. And it looks good. I'm happy with that.
Getting back into shot composition a little bit, this is a flat shot.
Yeah.
I consider this to be a flat shot. And this is how a lot of fan films, people who do fight scenes, this is a flat shot. I don't have problems with flat shots, but the problem is if the whole fight is a flat shot. I also
Now, the main thing I dislike about this shot is not that it's flat. I think that's a perfectly fine way to shoot the opening of like a fight scene, right? It's kind of like an establishing shot for the fight. But what bothers me is that the actors are not like properly spaced on screen. Like the center of their kind of energy is off center, and like that's kind of weird if you're trying to like do some like more directed shots. Like the energy of it is kind of like right here when it needs to be right here, you know?
Also, I'm not the biggest fan these
blocking,
days of one takes because I feel like you miss so much, and we'll get into that.
Oh, the shot
for the
composition's been
of this as an example.
I think a one take only works if you have a dynamic camera moving with it.
But even then,
And
you
that takes
miss
a
a
lot
lot
of
of the
practice.
emotions, and there's no stakes.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of just non-stop action. And
Yeah,
a
no,
philosophy
no
that
focus,
I personally
yeah.
enjoy with fight scenes is you have your wide shot, you have your cut-in shot, and then you have your slow-mo shot. Some people don't like slow-mo shots. Some people just prefer the full fight scene. I personally like it because I feel like it.
So in this shot, Shad is standing on the wrong side from his natural side, and the other guy has his back to the camera. Why didn't they just start with their places switched? It would have solved both problems, right? You know, maybe that's why Hollywood takes so long to shoot a fight scene. You know, and I'm just spitballing here.
Emphasizes like a really cool move.
There's a
That's just
slow-mo
me.
shot in this that I think is just chef's kiss.
Yeah. So, different philosophies here.
So we just wanted a quick beginning exchange where we're just testing each other out. And so that's what these moves are.
We've made a video on like sword fight rules, and we
Well,
followed most of them.
That's what I kind of really am happy with this, because in this we are putting our money where our mouths have been. We've been saying, look, sword fights need to be done this way or this way. You can do certain shots that look like they're lethal and you have to dodge, otherwise it'll strike, and you can do it by aiming certain ways and stuff like that. So you're about to see all of that put into action. And I feel put into practice really effectively, and you're going to get to see it. So that was so thrust that looks on point, right? Even though you're not actually aiming for my head, but because of the angle,
It's off center.
it's off center. And so I'm then pushing it up out of the way and then reassess, reset. And so I'm like, I don't like facing away from the camera. I look like a turtle.
This is just a problem with the fight. Like, okay, so
Wait, but like that's it is looking is should you not like in an actual combat scene kind of adopt a stance like that? Like kind of a protective stance? I don't know. It feels like looking like a turtle would be protecting your bits.
the problem is because you have a 180 line with a fight scene, you don't want to go over the other side. Meaning, so the camera's facing us this way. You don't want to go over this side and face that way because you get. Remember the Game of Thrones fight scene, the Brienne versus.
Oh my gosh!
You get that. You get whiplash. It's hard to follow. So
The point of that fight is that it's supposed to be frenetic. It's supposed to be hard to follow. You're not supposed to be marveling at like the technical skill of it. The entire point of that scene is that Brienne of Tarth's technical skill is overwhelmed by the hound's like practical knowledge and like frankly the fact that he doesn't give a shit about any kind of like rules for combat. Like the entire point is that Brienne of Tarth is thrown off balance by this fight, and you as the audience are also thrown off balance. That's the point. It's serving a narrative purpose.
Staying on this side of us is what you have to do, which means sadly at some point somebody's going to be facing a bit of a weird way.
All right, these close-ups, I think are actually brilliant. I was very happy with how they turned out. That doesn't look like I'm faking. So people might not realize the speed ramp that we added here.
We all realized the speed ramp that you added. We all realized it. We're not blind.
And so from here to there is like a 50% speed ramp, and it just to me adds explosive speed, and it jumps out of the gate into the bang, bang, bang.
As somebody who deals with footage and frame rates at all time, I see these instantly, so my version doesn't have any of them.
Really? You've kept them out?
Yeah.
Oh, so that we do have different versions.
Oh, our versions are very different.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
like the main fight scene is the same, and we obviously have two different outros, but in terms of like how everything starts, like it's just different.
Okay, cool.
They're different versions.
Love it. So you see it coming in, you lean back, and it looks like it was in measure and you had to dodge. Like, see that right there? That's the type of thing. If I was doing...
Like... Okay, I'm just going to pause right here because I feel like this pause frame allows you to see what I'm about to talk about. Remember how they made a big deal about these swords being, like, weighted and, like, weighted appropriately and how they're wearing, like, the metal armor and stuff? But, like, then Shadiversity talked about how, like, the blade is thinner at the tip, so it's a little bit safer, you know? You can see the blade bend as he swings it here, and it's just like, why bother with the weighted blades if you're still going to have kind of that wibbly wobbliness to it?
Doing a fight scene autopsy and I saw that, I'll be like, friggin' yes, that's how it should be done. And the thing is, though, I think you were out of measure the whole time. At no point was Tyrant in danger of getting hit. It's because we're using the correct camera angle to sell it, that this looks like he has to dodge or that sword is hitting him. Look, it literally passes in front of him. And so it's a matter of understanding camera angle and then the distance of the sword and what the audience is gonna see.
Damn. No one's ever heard of forced perspective before.
Like I said before, something I wanted to touch on with camera angles and dynamic shot. First off, this is a dynamic shot. Second of all, in a fight scene, there are 3 participants. There's the 2 combatants and the cameraman. The cameraman is also a participant, meaning you need... So while we're figuring stuff out, Nathan is also figuring out where he's going to go as well. That is the best way to do this, to capture the most amount of footage. And that's why flat shots, I feel like, just really not the way to go with it.
And so then we reset. Pose.
I do find like the shaky cam recording of like the fight scenes to be like, I don't know, they oddly endearing, I think is what I would describe it as. Like, I don't know, like there's just like a little fantasy goblin like filming it and run around.
Again, I'm actually quite happy with that in terms of the expression. That looks convincing.
Now, Shad is a little bit different when it comes to continuity. Personally, I'm okay with some small little errors because in motion, you can't see them. Shad is not. He just wants, I want every single thing to...
No.
Like,
I noticed the continuity errors that I haven't commented on because I thought they worked fine. It's only ones that was too much of a slap.
Thank you, very
I
short
kept that in my version.
You kept that?
Because you feel better saying.
I wonder if people... I'm interested to see what
Our
people
cross
say.
guards are on the different side, but it's so quick, and then we cut to...
Oh yeah, real swords do have a natural wobble, but they're still using swords that have more of a wobble And at that point, like, why are you not using just far safer swords? There are swords made for film that are safer. They talked about this at length earlier. So if you're gonna have it wobble anyway, visibly, in a way that's gonna be like, hey, that still kind of looks fake, like, just use the fake swords. The audience can't tell.
To the scene, and then we're back here. You don't notice
Because there's a couple ones that we point out, and it shouldn't break your enjoyment of the fight, where we point out the continuity differences in the jump, because it looks quite like it's flowing consistently.
I should have held that blade back. I was a bit too flat with it. I should have been
that's
more
not bad.
loaded with it.
And so this looks like you aiming for head, then I stop it and push it to the side before you're able to complete the strike, and then the cross, and then throwing the sword to the side, which was, winding and binding, and then hitting down. And so then this transitions into several reverse down edge cuts. I love that sequence.
Yeah.
Bang, bang, bang.
Something that I both love and hate about this is there's a lot of up high shots, head shots, which in a normal fight I don't like. But for the context, we're wearing armor, and where are the points that you're actually going to aim is the head or the hands.
Yeah, Paladin, exactly. They exhausted themselves for no reason. The fake swords would have the same amount of wobble, but be 50% lighter. Yeah.
Which is something we didn't do, which I'm not happy with. But like, there's context there, so I'm okay with some of those things.
Yeah.
More than usual, at least. Because in this, I wanted to make a point, especially for the only moment, is armor works.
Oh, it does. Like, I am happy with this because, like I said, if I was doing a fight scene or autopsy, this is the stuff I would be reacting to and complimenting if someone else did it, right? This strike looks like it's aimed for you, and you have to look. It is in measure. That would be. I'm not so far out that if my sword went down, I would miss.
Fenry, thank you for the $5 dono. What is this? That's cute. That's cute. Thank you.
We're close enough that, no, that sword is going to be hitting the opponent. And it's only because, one, we are proficient and have great control over the blades. Then, two, we trust each other. Okay. And three, the camera angle. I'm actually not aiming for Tyrant's head here. I'm aiming for the shoulder. I don't know if it's the pauldron. It's fine. Or even if...
Oh yeah, Mouse Fountain. There have been fights in films filmed like that. Yeah, kind of those knockdown, drag out style fights. One of the ones that they've referenced repeatedly as a bad fight throughout this commentary is the fight between the Hound and Brienne of Tarth in Game of Thrones, which I actually think is a really good example of a knockdown, drag out fight. Where, like, it starts out, like, with some semblance of honor, and then it devolves into, like, beating each other with rocks, Yeah, it has some really good fight scenes in it.
A bit out, so missing him completely, but the angle sells it perfectly. And so this is why...
Also, I'm catching it high.
You're catching
Because if I caught it a bit lower, it would look a bit faker. But because I'm
Yeah.
catching it so high, it means that I can also be high.
Exactly. And you're knocking it aside, which...
Are we really just over halfway done? We really are. They made a less than 5-minute long short film and have now been talking about it for 45 minutes. And we have another, like, 40 minutes left.
sells it completely. And so this was how we were able to do the whole fight scene with fully weighted steel swords and not injure, because
Good night, Alan Smith.
rarely were we ever actually aiming for the head.
I don't recommend that as well.
Yeah.
I really don't recommend it. It's not the best. The only reason why we did it is because we literally just didn't have
We
enough.
would have preferred aluminium.
Yeah, we tried to get them, couldn't get them. That is what it is.
And so knock aside, and this is me just coming in and hitting it aside and getting distance. Good posing at the end. Everything so far has been choreographed and planned out. Every single sequence we're doing intentionally, and that was just like a slap aside. Now, we filmed this out of continuity, but you've spliced them in perfectly.
All these cut-in
close-ups.
shots do right at the start, front load them.
And so, reversing my stance there, this is one of my favorite sequences. There's a couple that I just...
It'd be a lot better if you actually had shoes that weren't tennis shoes. Because That, you know, I don't care if I see a screw on like a set that's supposed to be medieval. Like that doesn't break like my investment into the scene. But when I see modern day tennis shoes in a setting that is not supposed to be modern day, that gets my attention.
Just realized, but this one turned out friggin' great.
Yeah, hand
That shot
protection would have
there,
been a good idea.
This
too.
is the slow-mo shot that I was mentioning that I just think looked friggin' great.
This is why I like slow-mo in my fight scene. Like I said, some people don't like them, and it's actually a lot harder to find slow-mo in fight scenes, especially made by, you know, I'm just going to call them fans for the context of this. They don't really use slow-mo too much. I like it though.
I mean, the combination with the sound effect that you have here emphasizes the strike. So listen.
Does Shad realize that in his perfect world he'd just be a serf? No, because every single one of these guys who idolizes like medieval traditionalist values, they always imagine that they're going to be the ones on top. You know, they always imagine they're going to be on top of the hierarchy because, you know, they're the protagonists. It's the same way with like conservatives here in America. They're always like, I'm going to be the millionaire someday. That's why I want taxes to be cut.
Yeah.
I mean, it shows like that was a near deadly strike. And the other thing that sells it is the choreography. Like
I do have to say, to a great degree, this is essentially just CinemaSins for sword fighting.
But what do I need to do when it comes to passports?
What do you need to do when it comes to passports? Depends. If you have a passport already, it's going to get it'll be a lot easier for you to get a new one. If you don't have a passport, then you need like one of several different documents that you can bring. Basically, birth certificate, a current ID, and like a passport picture. They have like an official app you can get to like get the right kind of passport picture, and then you need to submit all of that. You can find it over on travel.state.gov. There are a lot of it's not that complicated. You just need to get the ball rolling soon.
Like we actually had to practice this a couple of times to make sure we're getting the distance right. And a shot like this can be dangerous because...
Oh, this is 100% realistic. This is a very common shot if you've ever sparred with anybody. A deflect into
a reverse edge, right?
Very common.
And so to make sure
thank you for the $10
this looked
dono.
good, I needed to be in measure, which means close enough for Tyneth to be able to hit me. And
how much does a passport cost again? It depends. Just look it up on the travel site.
And therefore, I had to genuinely dodge it to miss the strike. The way that you do it safely is that he's actually aiming for my shoulder. And so if I miss the dodge, it's going to hit my pauldron. I'll be fine. And we know that these swords, these are trainers. And so on the top end, very low mass. And so it's not going to injure me.
Well, like we said, I don't know if we mentioned it earlier, a lot of fight scenes have a lot of chops because chops are, relatively speaking, are safe. Thrusts are very dangerous. No matter, even if you're just messing around. Thrust with this, if I hit you, especially in the neck, maybe the eye or something,
really dangerous.
It's a really big problem. Even with these trainer ones, they're still, you need like rubber tips on them.
Yeah, you could kill someone with a thrust to the neck or the eye with this.
Gee whiz, maybe it'd be a good idea not to tire yourselves out with heavy swords for no reason, making yourselves more prone to making mistakes on the set.
Which is why you don't see much thrusts in a lot of fan stuff, just because it's actually just dangerous to do in regular combat.
We have thrust. There's a thrust sequence in this that again is one of my favorite ones. I'll mention when we come to it because it's so we pull it off, right? And so there's a third component to this, right? Again, trust, being provision of the swords, being in measure, and then tricking kind of the angle, and then it's the camera. The position of the camera works perfectly here because that looks like it's going for my head, even though Tyrant's actually that's going to hit my...
I love that they keep talking about very simple camera tricks as if they're revolutionary. you see it looks like he was about to punch me in the face, but in actuality, he just looks like he almost punched me in the face, and then I act to make it look like he hit me. It's like, yeah, that's how they've been making like movies forever.
My shoulder if it lands, but it looks like it's coming straight down from my head. I dodge it, and it just misses my head right here, and then sails down. It's one of the sexiest sequences.
Don't say it like that, but sure.
It is. Like, this freaking looks great. And you timed it brilliantly with the shot transition.
So the only thing that I would change about something like this is more on my side, is a technical thing. Something that I don't like about jumping shots. It's like, we're still on the 180 line, so technically this is all still fine. You can follow it. But I want the center of the action. So right in the center. For the next frame, I want it still to be in the center. So then you don't have to search around for it. That's like a very advanced technique when it comes to fighting. This one is a little bit jumpy, which that's a me thing. I'm going to notice that.
You're going to notice something right here, which shows that we're not holding back in some of these. Look at the deflection of the sword. That's a weighted hit that makes, and this is steel, and that's flexing from the impact, right?
Like, the only thing that I would have about this is I wish, instead of being so flat with it, I was a little bit more angled just to catch it a little bit more, but yeah.
But that right there is looking...
Again, they're talking about this as if it's like a technical competition. Like, notice how there's not really storytelling happening here. They're talking about the technical aspect of the fight and not anything about why people should care about the fight. Which, is kind of undercutting the entire purpose of making their short film.
That is in measure. Like,
yeah, that is like, look, that would hit me, right? Because you can see where I'm leaning forward first, and then where I start to lean back to just miss it, and then the cut. But even here, that literally right there is the point. That would have hit me if I wasn't leaning back already.
Also, I brought that down rather than bringing it in.
Again,
for safety
shows the safety.
purposes.
But people will not actually see you because the speed of this, and what sells it is the replay in slow motion, which really makes it that man.
Which, this is why I like slow-mo, because if you don't have this, it's just...
Yeah, but you know what people don't want to see in like an actual narrative duel? They don't want to see a repeated slow-mo shot of something they just saw happen. Like, that's again something that you would reserve for sporting events. Like, that's like if you if you were filming like a sword fighting competition, this is how you would film it. Kind of. Sort of. Complete with the slow-mo. Slow-mo instant replay.
Just an instant next to the next thing. And I like to focus on those.
Like I said, I think it's the contender for my favorite sequence in the fight scene.
Okay. I thought you said it's a contender for my favorite fight scene. I'm like, it's just because you're in it, Chad.
No. Though, I think this looks pretty good. There's a lot of Hollywood slop. I'm not saying it's the best by any means, but this is better than a lot of Hollywood.
Wait, is Shadiversity's name Chad? Did this guy mispronounce Shad and instead said Chad? Or is his name actually Chad? Which, if it is, it really begs the question, why would you not name your channel Shadiversity? Feel like that, like, capitalize on that meme potential.
It was slop.
Because we haven't put out the video yet, we don't know what people's reactions
Yeah,
are.
people, that's all crap.
Yeah.
Good close up. This, like, the shaky cam there actually worked well.
Yes. Yes. Because this is captured in camera. This is not Nathan putting shaky camera in. This is him literally holding a 5-pound camera on the day for a long time. So there is just natural shaky cam. And there were some sequences here where we got some good stuff, but Nathan did too much. And I spoke to him about it. I'm like, all right, that shot was fantastic, Nathan. And before I even get out the words, he goes, "Too much shaky cam," and I'm like, "Yeah." So we'd have to do it again.
The rust on my pauldrons actually adds to make it
Realism.
looks even better, and it's real rust, authentic. Okay. So there's a couple of things to comment on this. We're going back. All right, so it started off, I think, maybe a little slow, but the cross, what I think really worked is that one right there, the underarm strike. Mix it up quite well.
Yes. It looks fine on camera, but...
It looks great going straight up with it like that. And look fully in measure.
Because of what?
I know.
These
again,
were all in measure.
Again, this is actual, like, difficult stuff to pull off safely, and again, it's like
the reason why I think this one works and I'm okay with it is because this would be, I would consider this a hand shot. So there's 2 head shots and then you go for a hand shot. So I think that works.
And what's also interesting is like it reminds me of my reviews of the Acolyte fight scenes where they were so far apart and they were just aiming for each other's swords, where in comparison to this, like he's a draw your sword up, go low, go high, like look at that. Man, that looks good.
I want everybody, we're going to get to it a bit later, but keep this sequence in mind because I reuse some footage from
You
another
do.
shot, which is important because this is a very flat shot, like I said.
So this what I find impressive, this is where Tyrant does break one of the continuity moments in the fight, and then
Beardy Man actually has like a passion for, filming it and like trying to like get better at filming it, and I respect that. I don't respect this attitude towards like fights being like, yes, the quality of the media is directly proportional to the technical skill the fight scenes possess. It's very weird.
He's spliced in one of the improvised freeform sequences we did. And I was actually
talking about his swordplay. His swordplay, he looks a lot more at home holding his weapon too.
Shocked at how well it looked, honestly. I like right there. This is now the freeform sparring.
Yes. I think what sells it is just more your reaction. Because we're actually sparring.
I'm exaggerating my reaction.
Like it's stage performance more than sparring. Like I'm not trying to hit him. I'm not trying to get him. We'd be acting very differently if that's the case. But we are aiming for like large target zones. So it can look realistic because there's a lot of movement.
Well, we could only pull this off again because we've trained with the swords. And so when I see we're purposely exaggerating our movements, not too much because we want to sell it to the camera, but by Tyrant exaggerating a bit more, he's telegraphing which angle that sword is coming in, and so I can go and block. And so rarely do you have in sparring a sequence where it's hit, block, like in such a successive amount. But because we're purposely telegraphing, we can pull it off in an exaggerated way. And so there are a number of clashes here that just end up selling bang, down, up, side. That is all improvised. And
Beefy Mistake. They seem to be operating under the assumption that a good fight scene is one that is like technically good in a like fight scenario, rather than like a fight scene is only really as good as the narrative that surrounds it,
Looks 100%.
Looks fine, yeah.
And then of course I'm putting on the expression that I'm on the back foot and you're pressing me, and I'm going by and like. And then you've cut back to a close angle of the same one. And that transition, I mean, it looked fine.
Yeah, it's a very conscious decision to make sure scenes match where we're leaving our swords in last. It's very difficult, but it works a lot better.
It works
Good night,
great.
sweetness.
This shot here, look at how close we come to our hands.
Because we actually were.
Were you like that?
This, by the way, is also a common criticism of Shadiversity's Shadow of the Conqueror series, is that, like, in a lot of ways, it's written, like, the fight scenes are written in kind of this dull, dry, technical way, because that's what he's obsessed with. And it really drags down, like, the action scenes in his novels, along with, the copious amounts of sexual assault.
But again, it's about trusting the person you're doing this with, and proficiency as well. Like, no, look at that. That is
And you got to remember, this is all sound design. Slow-mo on our cameras don't capture audio. So everything, this whole thing is basically sound design. A couple of the sound effects, like maybe some screams or some of the bass sword clashes I've kept.
Yeah.
But if I showed you just like the raw audio, all you hear is wind. So sound design is very important as well to sell stuff.
Look at how measured that is. That is like, there's nothing to try and fool it because it is actually, if that block didn't hit, look at how close it is to my hands. If I don't block, it's going to hit me in the head and stuff like that. And like, I don't think a lot of Hollywood productions have the balls to do this because they'd be too afraid of injury.
Well, yeah. Or they'd have a stuntman get injured. You know, like... Yeah, the thing you're doing is really, really cool until suddenly, you know, you need to go to the ER because your finger has a deep gouge in it from a blunted sword hitting it at full speed.
Yeah, because you don't just give actors swords and go swing at each other.
But as a result, that's why I look at this and I'm really pleased with the results because it's turned out better than I expected when I see stuff like this, because this is the kind of thing where I feel has been missing from Hollywood productions, where you see stuff that's like that.
To be fair, Shadiversity is bragging about almost getting hurt. I think this other guy is like, no, that's stupid.
Looks, it's 100% real because look at how
you're a lot more excited than I am. Like I'm sorry if I don't seem excited. It's just you're
more critical.
I wanted extra things. And we're about to get into one of the problems that I have.
Okay, because I'm comparing this to all the fight scene slop I've reviewed on this channel for years.
Sure, that's fair. Like comparing this to that Last Jedi or something. Yeah.
Exactly. And when we have a shot like that was made with speed, intention, and like, because my pet peeve in so many of the fight scenes is like, it looks.
What fight scene are you looking at in The Last Jedi and saying it looks terrible? Genuinely, genuine question here. I don't think that there are that many sword fight scenes in The Last Jedi. There's like what Rey fights Luke briefly. The end fight that isn't really a fight is sick as hell. That's cool. That's cool. That's some cool shit, but it's also not really a sword fight. The throne room fight? Okay, yeah, the throne room fight. I was forgetting about that one. But also, like, I don't know. I think that fight was just fine. Again, kind of the entire point of it was that they were technically outmatched in a lot of different respects. But that's fine.
Looks like you're aiming for the air or aiming for the sword, and then we have a shot like that where it's like, oh damn. We
do have one shot that I'm not happy with in terms of our aiming.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you slow it down, it's not as bad, but in motion, I'm not happy with it. I think it's the next one.
Catching this in slow-mo was great as well. And then back to the speed. Oh, look, that sequence. That's great. The speed and intention there. Bang, bang, bang. And then
this sequence here. We start off fine. I don't have too much issue. Because when we did this with lightsabers, this one here is taken
Amy, you're
from,
so happy.
like the Star Wars Episode 3 thing, and
we call it the helicopter exchange. Bang, bang, bang.
It's very nice, but it's very similar. It's repeating moves.
Mm-hmm.
I think with lightsabers, because they're lightsabers, we're a lot more tight with them. They're a lot more flat. With this one, we're a little bit more higher up.
I'm okay. I think we'd push it to the limit anymore. I would then start to say, okay, maybe too much. But I think we do manage to sell it because
the start here I'm fine with.
1, 2, 3.
Fine. Then you go into thrusts.
This one is one I wanted to comment on the thrusting side, because look where you are at the beginning of my thrust. You have to move back or that's going to hit you, and it looks like it's aimed for your head and you have to block it. At no point was I actually thrusting towards Tyrant's face. I'm offside, but because of the angle of the camera, they don't see that perspective. And so this looks like it is aimed at your head and you have to block it. And it's, again, a combination of those three things. One, proficiency in sword. Two, trust. Okay. And so Tyrant is trusting that I'm aiming off center, so he's not threatened. And three, angle of the camera to sell it completely.
Yeah.
And then bang, and then again, look, like this is so quick that people miss, but this comes in with another.
You know what would make this scene a lot better? If he wasn't wearing fucking tennis shoes.
Damn. Sorry, look at my face there. I'm ready to kill you, man. I'm like, you're freaking dead. And then coming in for a thrust, and you have to, like, it's so quick people miss it, but that is a whoosh. And we nailed the timing here. Yeah. Okay? The timing and measure speed.
Okay, so this exchange here is what I'm less happy with. Because the original plan was we go back into a couple of helicopters, and then I go for a throw and you catch me underneath. The problem was we stammer a bit, is all.
Really? Because it's the stammer that sells it for me. Because the stammer to me is the feint where, oh, you go high, go, and then bang.
But I think that feint doesn't look like a feint. I think it looks like a mistake.
Oh, see, to me it looks like a feint.
Let us know in the comments.
So this one, there's a purpose to this where basically you're trying to fluster your opponent. So in actual, I've done this in sparring where you do a fast repetition of the same strike, bang, 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 where you just want to push them back. And so even if, even if they're not a measure, but no, a lot of these are a measure that Tyrant has to move back. And by the way, the movement of the camera following us, compliments to Nathan.
He keeps mentioning Tyrant. Is that a character? Neither of these characters are named in either version of the short film.
Dude, this looks so good. See, that is a feint.
Because we were just a bit slow. Like, all right, let's go frame by frame.
Tyrant is the beardy man?
See,
gotcha.
Going high to try and draw your sword up, you bring your sword up in response, and then I'm ducking underneath, and...
I think it's because there was no active motion of you pushing my blade up. I think if we had a little bit, because it feels like we both just went up.
But there is a motion here. The swords connect right there, and I'm pushing your blade up.
Your sword is on top of mine. How can you push mine up?
No, it's underneath. It's underneath.
You sure?
Yep. Pretty sure. See, look. See, it's underneath at the moment, and at no point does it get to cross to be on top.
No, my blade's underneath yours.
No?
This is your blade here. Look. You can see there. Mine's behind yours.
Yeah. And so as they go up, now mine is underneath yours as it's high.
See, I shouldn't have gone. There's no reason for me to go up. At that position, I can bend in and get you.
Okay, no. To me, I reckon there is. You were just trying to push my sword off point. Because I was feinting to go for your head. And so going for your head, your defense is to push it up so it's not, you're protecting
really
your head.
Coming for
and then
your
because
head.
I've drawn you up, I go low. I think, I don't see what you're saying. I think...
For me, let us know in the comments. For me, that little sequence at the end there, it just feels like we both went up on cue.
I don't think that. Yeah,
and see, these ones there are a bit high, like we said.
Yeah.
There's gonna
Good
be
shot of the slow-mo there.
This one's right on the line of that 180. Whoa,
I think it works.
It's right on the line. It works because it's a cut in slow-mo.
Oddly enough, I feel like it's called a sword fight, what they're talking about. Not in this context.
But it's right on the line.
Look at that expression.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. Sorry. So the only thing that I would think here is that my character should be aware there's no way I got through the armor at that point, with that strike.
Sure.
You should be.
I don't want to get into your character stuff there.
I should know that.
But this was an important moment. So moments make fight scenes to me personally. When I think back to some of my most favorite fight scenes, maybe like the Achilles versus Hector, which funnily enough, this has a lot in common, which was subconscious, not on purpose. Things like when he does his jump attacks, or when he, he's got the spear, he does the spin, things like that in moments that I love in fight scenes. I wanted more moments in this one. We only got time to do one. And this is the moment.
It's a good moment. So what this would do for my character is like, I landed a solid hit that kind of shows your vulnerability. Even though it hit the armor, it's like, I still got through your sword. I still got past your sword.
The thing is, for my character, Shad, why would I defend a shot that I don't need to defend? It's to the breastplate you're not getting through, so there's no point.
I think it passes. I can be critical of my expressions at times.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
that one worked. And yours is good?
Keep in mind, I also had to cut things short because
Yes.
your expressions kept going.
Yeah,
So
but, yeah.
it's very slow.
So
So
do you
this
reckon
took a
people
while.
will notice that that's a different sword?
No.
See, I don't think many
people
would
will.
catch it.
I made sure this detail was very important. I wanted to use a sharp for this shot because it was going to be specifically a close shot. The sword is close enough that it looks similar to that, especially on
So I'm interested to wonder how many people think it's too obvious that this is a blunt, especially with the tip.
a lot of shots you can't notice, but there are certain
Sometimes-
shots.
Oh, you can you guys thought you couldn't notice the safety tips? Come on.
where
you
see
see-
the
You're
tips.
obsessing over screws and you're like, nah, no one can notice the tips of our swords. They're moving too fast.
See the
There's
tip.
literally nothing you can do about that.
Well, what would happen is if this was like if we had a lot higher budget, this would be foam but stiff, and then it would look like it has a
Or
tip.
just use aluminum. To be
Yeah.
honest.
Aluminum and tips could be dangerous. that's
They
the
can.
thing. But this is like something that I have criticized in high budget films. Close up shots, they didn't friggin' Rings of Power, and it's the foam sword on a close up shot.
Right.
You do.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. There's a shot of the king close up, and his sword is right there, and it's a shot, and it's the foam one, and it's not even in the sheath properly.
Yeah.
It's like amateur hour stuff. And so, yeah, on a close up shot,
I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. 99.9% of viewers cannot tell that is foam, and maybe only 2% of viewers actually care that the sword is not all the way in its sheath.
Yeah.
it's like amateur hour stuff. And so, yeah, on a close up shot, something I said was like, just use a real sword.
Yeah.
Right? And so it looks great.
This shot here is an important one because this one we actually took a little while to get right because I know you didn't want me to get too close, but it was so important to get like that close.
Yeah. And this is a time when we do a flourish, but it's perfectly consistent as to why. Like, I need to knock it aside, but now my sword is off point, so I've got to move it back into guard, and I spin it around into guard.
That was not like planned. I feel like that's the best way to describe it.
I will, you know what? Credit where credit is due.
That was not.
And I spin it around into guard.
That is a cool move. That was a neat flourish. All right. Credit where credit is due. That particular flourish was neat. All right, let's just watch this again.
Sword is off point, so I've got to move it back into guard, and I spin it around into guard.
Like that
was
was
not
neat.
like planned.
Just
I
use
feel
a
like that's the
real
best way to describe it.
lightsaber.
I knew that he was going to hit me, so I'm like, I need to control the weight. I'll bring it back around, and we both kind of just did the
did it
same
to a-
thing.
I love it, man.
Well, it also goes to a bit of a thematic thing.
Look
I mean,
at how
it's
well
prob-
timed that is. It's synchronized.
Let me put it this way. That's probably the best like swordsmanship in this video so far. Like the two of them kind of reassuming that position.
Between the both of us. Both swords coming in, like, look at this. Spinning down. It's perfectly synchronized, dude. How did we pull that off?
Well, something I do want to mention. I'm going to sound a bit like an English teacher.
Oh yeah. Mouse Fountain, that's not me saying that like they are surpassing Hollywood stunt coordinators or anything like that, or stunt choreographers. Like, they're not. But as far as the rest of this goes, like, it's nice. Note that Tyrant doesn't open up his guard when he flourishes. Yeah.
Right now is thematics throughout the course of the film. You are light, I am dark. I am wearing pointy, you are rounded. We are very much black and white mirroring each other throughout. That is a theme of this. I know I sound like an English teacher back in school, but
The themes.
Man, I really wish you had spent more time paying attention to what your English teacher had to say about narrative construction. Because if you had, you might have put a little bit more effort into the narrative of the short film you were making.
this is actually a
The
theme.
narrative.
It's actually a theme of it, yeah.
This is actually surprising. I didn't even notice we timed the synchronized flourish. Like, look at this, both coming down. That looks gorgeous, dude.
Yeah, that is a good shot.
All right, so
What's important to note is what comes right after. Like the same. This is one shot.
okay, Contender. This is the second Contender for my favorite sequence now.
Okay.
Okay, it's that flourish
Is this a
and
grift?
the leading
No.
back slow mo dodge. I want to know what you guys think. Where's the winner? We might need to do a poll. So now, right here, this is
Freeform.
freeform. We are improvising at this point. I mean, and it's actually surprisingly solid. Where I need to get your sword off point, you need to get mine off point. Blocking there.
But see, context is why this works. Because there's the hands, we've been over this, but the only actual real available region right now is the head. So we can fight a little bit higher than I would personally want.
I think in lots of sparring it ends high.
But our blades are too high up like this when they should be a lot more on point.
I don't know. See, look, that's on point, but I'm knocking it up, coming down. See, that was perfect. Like, look at these ones coming in, right? Recovery. They're coming side, and yeah, that was like you're going for my head there. Push it aside again, and so.
See how I'm trying to catch your blade low?
Yeah.
Because we were too high. I was trying to catch that blade down.
And then good cut to a recovery. So
Do you notice that shot?
yeah, I do
Okay,
notice.
okay, good.
So there's once again, I'll point it out, and then everyone will never not see it again.
Well, just before we do, we shot all of the cut-in shots at the start of the day, and that's it.
So holding this in the wrong hand,
It's a mirrored shot.
You've mirrored it, yeah. And so that's it. This is in my left hand.
Because we're on the opposite side.
So I actually filmed that on the opposite side, and so Tyrant has mirrored it. It still looks good. You can barely notice it, but
It's also cropped in as well because your flag was in the background.
Yeah. So back to this is choreographed and planned.
Because we need to get back to it.
Back to the position, the side that we're on. So
I don't know about
this one is like starting to edge on. All right, maybe we've overdone that helicopter hit. We've maybe that was a little. We've done it too much at this one. So it's again bang bang, but we don't dwell on a lot. It's just a quick 1-2 into a bind, and it's a dynamic bind where we're both pushing to get leverage. So this is where
Yeah, I mean, like in a real fight, like you'd throw sand in your opponent's eyes or some shit. You know, like if this was more real in that sense, it would actually be more interesting.
Tyrant's version, you'll see a close-up of the bind on that one.
Except hilariously, they would just use real sand because they're like, well, we have all kinds of sand over here. And then Shadiversity would go temporarily blind. It'd be a fun story to tell in the commentary. I like this idea. They should do it.
And for me, that was too much of a continuity.
It was a beautiful shot. It's sick as. We're like in a bind and the lake's in the background.
I think it worked in the cut I showed where you put it on this side, but you put the bind here when we're on one side, and then
yeah, true. If it was real, English longbowmen would just pepper them from a distance while shitting themselves. It's true. It's true.
And it shows us on.
I think the bind starts right as we're about to go down, so it like cuts in. It's very quick, and you will not notice it.
I wonder. We'll see. So then pushes me off out of the bind. So this one is interesting because, like, from this position, is there stuff you could do to try and get your opponent? Like, could Tyrant quickly spin his sword and hit me in the head? Right.
Yeah.
In moments like this, it's in the heat of the moment, and sometimes.
I'm going to elaborate on my fun fact a little bit, okay? In 1415, during the Battle of Agincourt, the English longbowmen went into battle without their pants, and they just spent they spent the battle completely pantsless because they all had dysentery. So they were all just shitting themselves like crazy to such a degree that they just left their pants behind. The dysentery was just so widespread. They were like, well, the battle's happening. We can't really afford to have our pants. So they left them behind and just ran around shitting themselves while shooting their longbows. Nature. It's amazing. One of my favorite history facts.
Times when you get in a bind, and I've done this in real sparring actually, where you can't slow down and think what is the best option to do. You just have to try and push back and look for leverage where you can get it, which is why I'm a bit more forgiving on this one, because I've experienced in real sparring where you do lock up and you don't think of the best move to do in that situation. You're just trying to push it back. Which is why I'm also forgiving on the ending grapple as well.
Right.
So this is one of the earlier sequences that you've now cut later on, which are from a different angle, because we film multiple takes of the same same sequence sometimes, and I think this works brilliantly. They did this in one of the fight scenes I've praised a lot, Anakin versus Obi-Wan. Their helicopter thing, they use the same, they actually filmed that with multiple cameras, because I've looked at it very closely. Their movements, it's actually the exact same movement. This isn't like a second take of the same sequence. This is the same sequence they filmed from two different angles, and then they've spliced in that exact same one later on. Yeah. And it worked. It worked fine.
The reason why I did it, this one is a little, it's on the line of iffy just because I was I went back through the footage and I was trying to just cobble something else together because, like I said, I wanted more, and I wanted more sword.
Yeah, that's the thing, Nomi Sunrider. Like, the narrative thrust of this is like two people are trying to kill each other. What does that actually wind up looking like? Because it generally doesn't look like how you'd think. There's actually a really good example of a fight like this. It's from... Oh, God. I'm not going to be able to find it right now, unfortunately. But there is like a really famous version of a Shakespearean play that has a great final fight. Macbeth, yes. Yes, which in the 1971 version of Macbeth. I wonder if I can play like a part of it here. Oh God, it has like a different score. Ugh. Let's see. Like the fight does like it moves. It like he like you can see him use his gauntlets to like grab the blade and like redirect it. It makes full use of a lot of the elements at play here. And notice that it's not big on the sword play, because the sword play isn't the point of the fight, nor is it really the point of any fight outside of its utility in killing your opponent. Yeah, they're making use of the space. Like, kind of the great thing about this fight is that, essentially, this is how you fight if you are a knight and you're fighting to the death. You know, it is, you pick up mud in your fist and you throw it into your opponent's eyes, and while they are trying to wipe it away, you stab them in the groin. You know, it's sloppy, it's messy, it's bloody, it's tiring, and eventually one of you dies. Maybe even both of you. And the thing is, armor and swords get an awful lot heavier when you're fighting for your life. Ignore it. Pretend you didn't see that part. It's not real, it's a film. Artistic license. Moving on. But yeah. Yeah, spoilers for Macbeth, I guess. Find it more funny than serious. Yeah, right up until the end where, you know, it ends in gore. I actually said, oh shit, out loud. Yeah, like, that's the kind of fight that's, like, real. But what they're looking for in their fight is something different. But part of what makes, like, that particular version of Macbeth look and feel significant is that it serves the point of the film. Like, you can see early on in the fight, Macbeth is, like, taking a lot of really big risks. You know, he's been told he's effectively invincible until, like, this prophecy is fulfilled. And then midway through the fight, he realizes, oh no, I'm vulnerable. You know? He realizes he could die. And then you start seeing fear in him, and it is reflected in the manner in which he fights. And that all of that serves kind of the narrative of the fight and the larger narrative of the film. And in this case, there's not really a narrative. There's a premise, but the narrative doesn't really exist. Because they're just focused on, like, being technically cool, I guess? But neither one of them is like a master in their field, you know? So they're kind of like doing a mediocre job of it, with long-haired beardy boy doing a better job than Shadiversity.
Swordplay, I wanted more moments. We didn't have any of that, so I'm like, all right, I'll just
reuse some stuff,
see what I've got, and this kind of came together. I was like, oh, you know
it works, because you can't really tell, like, because this is where I went low to hit, and the first one was a wide side angle, and so because this is from behind, it looks quite different, even though it's the exact same set of moves. And then you cut it quickly to a different one, which is a close-up shot of
like another really good example, like a lot of the fight scenes in Daredevil have kind of a very similar, like, you know, limited amount of stamina style fighting to them, which is great. I love seeing that translate into film. What is it? Is it Old Boy that has the hallway scene as well? Like, the hallway scene in Old Boy is grueling to watch.
By the way, what I love about this one, this could be another contender, how fast the strikes are. Look how fast, like, bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
See, there was a quick bang.
Obviously, when I'm talking about Old Boy, I mean Old Boy, not the fake one they made.
This one here, this is
Windbeam.
that is a legit shot where I was gonna get shot, and so that was why I wanted to make so I cut it early. See how it's on the other side of the crossguard?
Yep.
That was when I pulled the shot.
Mm-hmm. And then, again, trust Tyrant knew to pull it because he could see that. But also, I'm trying to block it, and so this is me moving back, and I do end up pushing.
Yeah, I don't think the first Daredevil fight scene is a direct reference to Old Boy, but I think I think there's a scene in, like, the third episode of the season 1 of Daredevil that is a direct reference. There is a direct reference to Old Boy in Daredevil. I'm not sure if it's the first episode.
pushing it off my knuckles, which just saves it basically. So
But it's because I didn't bring it down.
Yeah, exactly.
I stopped
So
right there.
it's funny-
I saw it go behind the crossguard. I'm like, all right, I gotta stop.
both of us see what's going on, and we're both responding in the correct way to save my knuckles here, right? Again, trust and proficiency to be able to pull
And that's
that
why
off.
I just cut in straight to a slow-mo shot of
Yeah.
kind of...
Yeah, and look, it kind like our swords are close enough that you can kind of believe that they moved into that position, and so that you sell it.
And because it's not full slow-mo, it's like a quick little slow-mo, just to emphasize that punch in, I think it works.
I love it. And then back to a reset. So my only thing here, right, because this was filmed at the beginning, is not showing how exhausted I freaking are again. At this point, like the sweaty.
What's the point?
Yeah, it would have looked even better. And then freeform. This is. Yep.
This was so stupid. Because we were on the right side, we then switched back, and then we needed to switch back again. So this is why this one is a bit less refined.
Exactly. It was like getting back in. Then it's a good cut though to.
Like you can even see us talking about it in the scene. Yeah. There's a shot of Shad saying, "We need to get back."
Yeah. Is this where I say this?
And that's why my stance isn't very good. I'm kind of like hobbling a little bit.
But the fact we can improvise it to get what we need to, that works.
Like I'll do 2 shots and kind of like jump over. That works.
Good job with the sound again.
Oh, Errol Flynn and Basil Rathbone.
So this is where we come to
like the swashbuckling duels of like the 1930s and 40s are like top tier. They're so much fun. They're so much fun because like a lot of those actors were very physical in their performances and abilities, coming out of like the silent era. You know, very expressive, very mobile, and seeing them be able to do that is just a delight.
Finisher. We tried to brainstorm a couple of different finishing moves. We want it to be
Keanu Reeves, I think, really keeps it alive. It's not he doesn't do sword fighting per se, but you know, like the choreography in his fights in the John Wick movies is top tier. I do really enjoy watching him in those movies.
Something I wanted to be something a bit more complex and sophisticated in terms of the technique.
Yeah, you want to talk about it? Because it was the stupidest thing I've ever heard, man.
Which one?
Let me throw the sword up and catch it and stab
That
me.
would be badass! If I could pull it off, that would have looked friggin' wicked!
That is mall ninja cringe stuff.
No.
You know your walk at the start? That's that.
No. If we pulled it off, that could look...
This visually represents their dynamic very well. Because he's right. That would be LARPy cringe bullshit to have in your technically proficient fight scene.
Friggin' amazing.
It really
Yeah,
would.
Princess Bride is top tier.
If I needed to knock your sword aside and I had to push it so far that I needed to spin to recover, and then in the spin, I flip it up and then caught the blade and stab down.
What do you think of the comment?
This is some Kirito Sword Art Online bullshit.
I genuinely want to hear your thoughts.
It could have looked, but the thing is, though, it would have taken too many
would've taken
tries to
ages.
capture. It's like, all right, we can't do that. And so, how did we end up coming to this one? Because I think we ended up just, let's try freeform
Well, like,
and find a
let's do a grapple. Because first we thought of,
Yeah.
what if we do some grapples with the blade to take the blade away? But then we're like, well, what if we just try and get him the gaps of the armor?
Yeah.
It's like, well, why not just come up with and get a shot through the head?
And
or
it ended up working well. And then I was like, all right, if we get it from this angle, we can make it look like it's a lethal shot. And so Tyreth comes in for a thrust. Again, this looks like it's aimed for my head. I have to block it. And so I push it.
Well, there's a little bit of sneaky stuff in there because when I would go for a thrust, I could change it the last.
I appreciate them trying to like give a play-by-play of this, but at the same time, it's like you can only say we used camera trickery to make it look like you were thrusting at my vital bits, but really you weren't so many times.
last moment and actually bring it in, which is what it looks like I'm doing, which is what I'm not. I'm
This
bringing
video is
it
going to
around
end up
off
being the
his
entire
center
stream.
line.
Yes.
But to be fair, you guys did give me a lot of money to do this, so I'm not complaining.
But from this camera angle, it looks like I'm bringing it into his face.
I mean, what I love is that this is one of the things that we've mentioned multiple times in our criticisms, right? And now we have done this, 3 to 4.
And to be honest, after the draining day I've had, this is exactly what I needed. This is, oddly enough, their project is giving me life, just not in the way they intended.
4 times that I feel is an expert demonstration of exactly what we mean, where we say you can make a thrust or an attack look like it's got lethal intent, but you're actually aiming away from your opponent, and so long as you have the camera angle correct, it'll look like it's in measure and deadly. Like, look at this. This is perfect, right? And so what I do then, I push in for a grapple. Okay, no, this is actually working. It's down on the strong of my blade, so I have the leverage. So I'm higher on your blade. I was about to criticize, like, no, even one hand.
I was really high up on your blade.
If you're on the strong and I'm on towards your weak, I could leverage it down.
Yeah, like I think this is all right. It works in motion, but if it was real, obviously, I think you'd be a lot more non-compliant.
Yes,
it's a little bit compliant.
You're right. The reason why I give it a...
I mean, if it was real, you guys would be doing a lot of other things.
pass, right? Because it comes in, even in slow-mo, this is showing that it's I'm lunging in quickly, and your character doesn't yet know what I'm trying to do. And so this happens in real fighting. When you lunge in with a sequence in your mind of an attack, your opponent doesn't know what you're going to do yet, and so they can only respond after they see it, and that can cause them to hesitate.
Sure, but in a grapple like this, I'm holding my blade, which is what, like, your blade here is up against my knuckles. So, like, it's up against my hand. You could...
Oh my god, his blade is up against his hand. It's touching his knuckles. Oh my god, how erotic.
Do some stuff there, I wouldn't be so compliant about it.
The only way I think you can get out of a grapple like this is that you need to release the sword and pull out.
In this sort of situation, I would take a step behind your leg and pull you back.
Yeah, but again, I think that's knowing after the fact. In an actual intense fight, I could see this going down to trying to push back with leverage, because it's an instinctive response, which is why I'm more forgiving of it. Now, this one, we're actually going to cut right, like in the official release, that's going to cut here because I missed the grab. But in the cut, it's going to look like at that moment is when I grab the sword, because then we're going to be cutting forward
a little bit faster
to where I grab it here, right there. And so this is a really interesting grapple, okay? Because you can't pull your sword. If you keep your hold of your sword, you can't pull it out because you hit my arm. And my arm is actually holding it in. And so the only way you could pull your sword out is by releasing your grip and getting out.
Yes, but I am positioned directly. My leg is directly behind yours. All I need to do is let go one of my hands.
Good night, Dragonfly.
Like, this is like
Glad you enjoyed the stream.
But to me, this is believable.
Yeah, it's perfectly believable. Yeah.
And
minus holding your blade with a bare hand. You know what would have made that more believable? If you were wearing those gauntlets or gloves that you've been talking about not wearing.
This actually ends up being a complex grapple where you're showing that you're trying, because one of the things that you do train in swordsmanship is don't let go of your sword. You don't want to be disarmed. And so I can see a real swordsman, right, in this position, just instinctually, don't let go of the sword, find leverage, get back, push, even though the way to get out of this grapple is to let go. There's
a couple of things here, because like I could let go one hand, or at least angle my blade and do a slice on the inside of your thigh. There's an artery there. Things like this is all after the fact. In motion, I think it's fine.
And I think it's so because I'm leveraging down. And look, what's good about this, the sword does end up coming up and my armor protects me. So you wouldn't be able to hit me there. And I'm leveraging down to get the sword up through and then...
Media breakdown, OMFG. I don't pretend to be an expert, but as somebody who took a semester of sword fighting, specifically hand and a half sword with a basket hilt, this is so cringe. Yeah, no, this has been... I mean, media breakdown, This is an hour-and-a-half commentary track for a less than 5-minute long short film. The very existence of this video is cringe to a degree previously uncringeable. No one believed we could reach these levels of cringe, and yet here we are.
Through your neck. Like, that's the thing I'm going for. Again,
See, now this breaks the 180 line, but it's like right at the end. It's the last shot. It's a bit slower. I think it's fine.
I think it works fine, especially because we don't have the budget to do, like, visual effects to show the sword going through or decapitation.
This is one of those ones where we definitely need the camera angle, but the camera angle required for this.
Something happens that I was not expecting, and it sells it completely. Your hair gets pushed aside by the blade, or is it your angle of flinging back? Because that makes it look like the blade has gone through your head. I was not expecting that to, and Nathan is getting the angle perfectly, because I was like, we were saying, you need to show that I'm pulling it through the arms from above, and then you need to move back low. I can't believe how...
If Lord of the Rings films were commentated like this 5-minute short, yeah, hey honey, are you ready to watch the Fellowship of the Ring extended edition and then the commentary? It'll only take us 48 hours.
Well, we managed to get that shot.
Yeah.
And then... Okay, that's... Am I up to 3 favorites now?
I don't know.
That's it.
I don't know.
That is the last... This one right there. The fact that we got the camera angle, the hair, to make it look like the blade went...
Well, wait. Yeah, you can hold blades to do a Mordhau, but Mordhaus typically weren't done, like, barehanded, is my understanding. Typically, you were wearing some kind of glove.
Through, that's the 3rd contender for my favorite sequence. And so the first one was the slow-mo at the chest. The second one, it was one of the speed ones. And then this one, I can't remember if there was another one.
I tried. If we had just gotten an extra shot, I could have included the grapple in my version as like an extra fight bit, but we just needed an extra shot of me getting out of the grapple. So I couldn't use it, but yeah.
So what I love about this is that it's a more complex, sophisticated finisher, where we come in, the finish release, you cut, grab, and then half sword, stab through. So I was worried the timing would be off. The fact that you put in a close-up of the blade, that slowed it down.
Very important.
Yeah. That slowed it down enough to make it give it's like, all right, the fight's over.
Some of these shots, like this shot I got last week.
Yeah.
I didn't get on the day because there was some stuff that I wasn't happy with, some B-roll I wasn't happy with, so I went back and made sure to get some shots that like this one is an important cut-in to slow down that scene, because it just goes like that. It's too quick.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm impressed that works like that.
I told you the blood will look fine.
On the blade it does, not on the hands. He wanted a close-up of blood on the hands that looked cheap and fake.
That's fine.
And, but real sharp sword for the close-up. Looks great. So there was a number of times I tried to stab it into the ground.
Yeah, I've got him in my behind the scenes video. There's a funny ass one, because I'm in the ground, like nearly passed out. I'm just sleeping. I'm sitting there I'm rambling to Nathan. We don't have the audio, but there was audio of me just like rambling Nathan, like, what's he doing? Is he done? Hurry up.
I wanted it to just stab in the ground and stand.
My favorite is when you throw it in and it starts
flopping around.
Starts slapping the chair.
It's like, we just couldn't get it. It would take too long. So I was like, screw it, I'm throwing it further away this time. I was worried that I was too knackered to at least have a passable expression. Is there a couple of bad shots?
No, it's more that if this shot keeps going,
yeah.
I don't think it's good. I don't know what that smile you pulled was, but the longer that smile goes, not this one. This is
this one.
When you start to smile, I cut it.
Because I was so tired, I was like, I think this is not good.
See, if I keep
The
that
fade
going,
out worked well, just right there. That's like you saved it there. That's what a good director is able to do.
and this is hard to see on this one, but
Yeah.
Do I know any action / historical / medieval people we should actually pay attention to? Not any. No content creators are jumping to mind right off the bat. I did minor in medieval history, so I have a little bit of context, but doesn't tend to pop up that often during my politics streams.
Yeah. I'm not sure about it.
not sure.
It looks a little fake, the light.
Because it is. This is a day to night shot. They're one of the most hard shots to pull off. But because I wanted this shot as the final shot, I felt like it's a good transition. Have the castle at night. It's been from day to night. You get it.
So there we go. I wanted a full commentary track on us, talking about everything. And it's just one of those things that genuinely, like, how this came about is that I approached Tyrant and said,
Kind of.
I was like, I would like to do a choreographed fight scene at least once before my health gets so bad that I can't do it anymore.
Yes.
Yeah. And then Tyrant was saying that your response was like, well, I've actually been thinking about doing the same thing on your channel.
So I originally did, I've got like a bunch of fight scenes that I'm going through one by one eventually. I've already done my lightsaber one, and I was watching House of the Dragon, and I was so mad because there was nothing good in it. I'm like, all right, I've got to do my medieval one.
When you say nothing good, no good fight scenes.
No good fight scenes is what I mean. Like specifically one-on-one combat type stuff. So I'm like, I want to do one of them, and I was originally going to do it with Nate, but then the next day you came in and like, I want to do a fight scene. I'm like, well, we could do that. It's okay. And I wanted this one to be a little more high production because we had not more time, but we would have more resources. I had more time to get ready in making the set, things like that. So that's how it kind of came about.
I love it. It's one of those things where I look back and I'm pretty darn chuffed with it. That's better than what I...
You know what? I'm glad he's chuffed with it. Unironically, I'm glad he's proud of what he made. That's a good feeling.
was expecting, honestly. And look, it's a credit.
Now, when it comes to Shadow of the Conqueror, he probably shouldn't be proud of that one.
To you with your camera work, I think that's what lifted it. The sound work.
A lot of these, I would say, don't be discouraged if you're doing a fight scene, especially on the day. On the day, it never feels like it's going to be good. You're always in the moment. I mean, you're like, oh, I don't know about this.
I had no idea how those improvised takes would look. I was like, whatever. We felt. I was legitimately surprised that one of those sequences was actually, holy crap, you know?
Yeah. Please go check out the behind the scenes video on my channel. It is out of my content zone and it's got a bomb. Check it out, guys.
Yeah, like genuinely.
I go through everything. I go through all of the actual technical
We cannot spend another half hour. We spent almost 4 hours going over all of this. We cannot spend another half hour doing this.
Things, especially if you're someone who's a fan who wants to actually make a fight scene. There's a lot of little tips and tricks in there. Check it out. I'm sure something will be of use to you.
And guys, genuinely, please go and check out that video on Tyrant's channel. Give it the boost it deserves. Okay, and you'll get heaps out.
Like, I dislike Shadiversity for a lot of moral and political reasons. But you know what? I'm happy for him that he made something that he's satisfied with.
Out of it. So
even if I personally didn't like it.
You convinced me to put it out on my main channel.
I did, because I was trying to tell him that I think it would be really good for people to watch, as well as we could try and give it a good, shout out here. It's right there. Click on it, guys. And I hope you've enjoyed. That's all.
This was a long episode. A long video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye-bye.
God, it really was. We did it. I have fulfilled my promise to all of you. And you all know what time that is, right? It's time to hit the segment button because we finished, baby. Hey!